Down the East Coast, tonight we head from the short track of Loudon to one of the oldest tracks on our schedule, where drivers will be showing off their throwback paint schemes. Tonight we'll be going 136 miles around the top groove of Darlington Raceway for the second race of round one of the playoffs. We've got 19 drivers looking to win tonight and solidify their chances of advancing out of the first round and into the second. Or could we see someone outside of the playoffs taking it to victory lane? What do you think it'll be tonight, Marshall?
Oh, I mean, seeing what we saw last week in our season opener here, at least in terms of the playoffs here at New Hampshire, we saw chaos really in every form, but it was kind of controlled chaos. We've said all season here, Evan, that the guys at the top of the field have been really competitive, but they've also been really clean and really safe. We've had some great racing, and it showed again at New Hampshire, a track that kicked the playoffs off with a very difficult track. It really is the kind of, in my head, the definitive stock car track. Any skills you take there, you can take to pretty much any other track and be equally just as quick, if not quicker. So, coming tonight to Darlington, you talk about it's one of the oldest venues in the book, and there's a reason for that. I mean, Darlington is truly a driver's track, and here for the second round, it's one that is going to require, fighting through the stress, because as we see here, if you see anybody here in practice right now with Cody Welch, last week's winner, that you really got to get the hands moving. There's a lot of driver input necessary to keep the car off the top wall, and that really is the ideal line. So, everything is on the table. Almost all lines are in play, but that top line is going to be the quickest, but the riskiest. So I think tonight, Evan, is we're really going to start seeing guys show us how bad they want wins and points here early in the playoffs, especially for the cutoffs. So some of the guys a little ways back, further in the pack, might be, taking some risks tonight, might have really prepped for this race and in preparation for next week's road course, which is a whole different battle on its own. But yeah, I'm just looking for that similar level of controlled chaos, some exciting action, and it'll be interesting to see who can deal with that high line that a lot of guys don't usually run and who will struggle to get up there.
Yeah, it ought to be fun. It'll be interesting to see who's able to be comfortable up there, because, like you said, that's somewhere that not a lot of people tend to run. But right now we got 6.5 minutes left in practice, and real quick, want to go ahead, shout out Utah Foster Care. Utah Foster Care is a nationally recognized nonprofit which finds, trains, and supports Utah families who are willing and able to provide a nurturing home for children in foster care. In Utah, more than 2,600 children are in foster care at any given moment because their own families are in crisis. Utah Foster Care's mission is to develop innovative strategies to help recruit, train, and retain foster families. So to learn more about them or to donate, head over to utahfostercare.org. That's utahfostercare.org. So a big thank you to Matt Crockett, not only for everything that he does behind the scenes here with Bandit Racing League, but also for sponsoring this race and advertising Utah Foster Care. So you guys check it out, utahfostercare.org. And real quick, a big shout out and kind of all our thoughts and prayers tonight going to be with the driver of the 18 car, who isn't going to be with us tonight. He has other things going on in his life. Mitch Sullivan, driver of the 18, some health issues going on with his wife, and just really sad to hear that. So we hope that he's doing good. Obviously hope that his wife is doing good, and hope that we can see him back in the coming weeks. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and look at our current point standings right now, if I can get it pulled up. Like I said, this is race 2 of round 1 of the playoffs. So as you can see, Cody Welch, the 85 car, the driver, on top, followed by Benjamin Lacey and Nick Nickerson. But 19 drivers, they're all still in the running, as we have Darlington tonight and then the Roval next weekend before the next cutoff. So you can pause it right there if you want to keep looking at the points, but we're going to go ahead and go back because we have a lot to talk about. One of the things being paint schemes is, there you see the 85 car.
Wow.
Into the wall and a little bit loose, and that's one thing we'll see all night. I think that Darlington stripe there on the outside, I can imagine plenty of guys going to be getting into the wall. Let's see if we can find some of these paint schemes. Brett Guzik, one driver, running a throwback with the MySpace paint scheme. Not exactly a throwback like some of these other guys, but still plenty of a throwback. Michael Ramos, driver of the 27 car, in a U.S. Army car. I think that's a Mark Martin throwback, maybe? I'm not exactly sure
Yeah, Mark Martin, Ryan Newman ran it for a couple of years. A couple guys.
Yeah, couple guys with the U.S. Army car. Ricky Hart Jr., of course, running the Talladega Nights Wonder Bread, the Ricky Bobby car, Ricky Hart Jr. Obviously a very beautiful Camaro right there. Thomas Finsler in the 17 with the Ricky Rudd Tide Camaro. Benjamin Lacey got his normal paint scheme. The 80 car Tyler Rowland running a DeWalt Supra. A couple of drivers have driven that DeWalt scheme, I believe. Bill Harkins in the Stanley Mustang. That is a Matt Hutter Stanley car. I believe Matt Hutter ran that in the late 90s, I believe, 1998. That's when I'm seeing at least one of the times that he ran that car. Matt Crockett, not exactly, you can't tell it as much, but when you know it's a John Andretti throwback, I believe, the 43 car. He went with that style of graphic at least. Not sure about that one. 98 of James R. Hartley running the pink car. And those are about some of the only drivers on track right now. As there you see the 8 car of Kevin Foster fairly torn up. But I think one thing that is good to mention, last season when we came here, our winner was the driver of that 8 car, Kevin Foster. So that's always important to mention when you have a driver that won last season. We'll be on the lookout for him. Currently, right now, he's sitting 12th position on the practice boards as we've got just under 2 minutes left.
Yeah, Kevin Foster, a guy that has had a really interesting season at this point. I know that you weren't there, Evan, but the one race that I did solo there at Auto Club, both him and Benjamin Lacey, of course, getting the finish at the end that gave Benjamin the win, but Kevin, of course, with a solid runner-up finish there. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see that he has those skills. And as I talked about, Darlington really a driver's track. There's a lot of play, and it takes a really good driver who's very aware and has a good understanding of the car they're driving in order to succeed. So we'll see if Kevin can repeat that. I don't know what we just saw there in the background. That was a massive wreck. Hopefully we don't see too many of those tonight. Of course, Darlington, with being as competitive as a track as it is, it's one that we want to get our times worth for the racing here. And I mean, I'm certainly looking forward to it. So hopefully we can keep a relatively clean race. But yeah, tonight you see the times up there on the timing board, relatively close for an oval of this size, but definitely the usual suspects. Nick Nickerson up top there, as he often is. He's currently in the pits, but Cody Welch, who's had a very busy, it would seem, practice session. You kind of see him all over the track, but he does have the second fastest lap. Of course, last week's winner at New Hampshire to start off the playoffs. And then Davey Hendricks, new name to the series, the guy that we were talking a lot about last week. There was a car wedged in the fence back there. This is just nuts. But yeah, Davey Hendricks, new guy to the series. I think he made his debut last week, and what a strong debut it was. He was really up there in the top 3 to 5 all race, and in the end, unfortunately, just wasn't quite able to capitalize on it and take a win for one of the playoff guys. But he'll definitely be a factor tonight as well, sitting up there in third. So there's a lot of moving pieces in here, and with a lot of new liveries tonight, I'm really looking forward to seeing not only the great racing action, but I think it's going to look a little bit different as well. So I'm looking forward to tonight's event. I think it should be a good way to make the halfway point in round number 1.
Yeah, a couple other paint schemes. There's a 72 car, Mason Flagar, running a tribute paint scheme there. I'm not sure who it's to, but I could tell that it said "in loving memory" there on the hood. David Leakey, the 84 car with the Miller paint scheme, that's going to do it for practice. Nickerson going to be on the top of the board. But we're going to start qualifying now, and we'll see if we can ride along with somebody as they come out for their qualifying lap. So let's see who we can grab. Let's see who is out first. Cody Welch going to be one of the first guys out, driving that 85 car. Head on the hood cam.
Cody Welch, a guy that's had a lot of qualifying success really all year. One of the best guys in the series in terms of flat out pace. So as we see him getting a good run off the wall there in qualifying, what you're going to want to do is get a nice big run up there in your first lap. You can sacrifice your corner 3 entry to prioritize your run off the corner. Now as he starts his first flying lap here, you see he gets the best possible run there in the turn 1. He's going to try to use those newer tires to run as close as he can. Maybe not going to push the wall quite yet. In the second lap, we might see it a little bit further, but guys to conserve tires in the proper race aren't going to start quite that far down. But for now, Cody nice and smooth out of turns number 1 and 2, now into 3 and 4. Of course, the track here at Darlington is asymmetrical, so actually somewhat tighter third and fourth corner, I should say. So off the fourth corner, I think Cody Welch will probably run the first time of the session. He was out pretty quick. Let's see what time he puts up on the board as a standard. Going to want to be in the mid to low 29s as a top time at 29.55. Not bad on a cold set of tires, so we'll see if he can improve second time around. Nick Nickerson, though, goes up 700ths on your defending race winner.
Yeah, Nickerson with the quickest time. Trey Ellis going to sit in third right there. And whenever Ricky Hart Jr. gets out on the track, we're going to follow him in Skype for a lap around and on the track. He hadn't left it yet, but whenever he does, we'll be watching him. That's going to do it for Cody Welch. Going to put him back on top of the board. Let's go ahead, take a look at Drew Kennedy, driver of the 19 car, as he takes his laps around.
Yeah, he's actually running a half lane down on where Welch was. Nice low line there for the 19 car through corners number 1 and 2, or should I say that is, yeah, it's 1 and 2. Sometimes here at Darlington, everything can look very similar. Going to hit the wall there on that second attempt. Gets a nice, pretty hard shunt there off the outside wall. So as he comes back onto the front stretch, this will be his lap, and it's going to get discounted as a result of the outside wall contact. But he gets one more chance there in the 19 car. The question is, how much damage did he take? He's running nice and wide, though, really sending the car in there up to the top line, really banking on the dynamic track system we have here on iRacing to push him back. But doing well so far. Let's see if he can keep that run down the backstretch. A number of drivers have put times on the board as well. Lacey and Ellis, both in the top 5. Davey Hendricks, last week's debut, just barely outside of the top 5 and 6th.
Let's follow Brandon Jackson, who is heading out right now. Go ahead and watch Jackson on Skype. So he won at Iowa, 7 top 5s on the season for the driver of the Mustang. Heading to the roof camera, you can see the Codemasters on the hood, as well as the playoff green stripe.
Yeah, really good lap here so far from Jackson. He really got the tires to stick there and got the grip to catch up there in 1 and 2. So gets a good run again off the corner. We'll see if he can put himself maybe into the top 5. He's gonna have to jump some pretty good title contenders. He's gonna go 11th provisionally for the time being. Ty Hogan, it would seem, but just barely down by 1,000th or a couple. So not gonna go faster that first time by. But as you see there on Skype, he looks calm and composed. And really here at Darlington, a track that can be so much about keeping your nerves under you and keeping your hands steady. That is a very important skill to have.
Yeah, another calm driver. Let's head over to Ricky Hart Jr. Watch him as he takes his laps around. You see those hands moving as he's in VR right now. You can see how smooth he's going to try and be with his hands as he gets through this turn. See, down to the line and then drifted right back up to the wall.
We'll have to see. The entry here into 3 is going to be key. He did nail it pretty good, though. Looks like he's got a pretty safe run there off the outside wall. The dynamic track settings will do the rest, and it'll keep him off. He's going to have a good run, and we'll see here. This is his first attempt. Can he go into the top 5? Rival Jackson did not earlier. He won't, but he'll go 7th, which is still a very competitive time, less than 2/10 off of your pole center, Mr. Nick Nickerson. So not a bad time at all for Mr. Ricky Hart. He'll have a good grid spot for the proper event.
Only a couple drivers left out. Looking at Kevin Foster right now, who, like I said, is the one who won here last season. He's going to put himself in 10th, as that is going to wrap up qualifying. Nick Nickerson going to be the driver on the pole here tonight, as we will roll through our grid. So like I said, starting on the pole, going to be Nick Nickerson in the number 2 car. Davey Hendricks sitting in second. A good showing for him after his debut last race. Cody Welch, the 85, in third, followed by Benjamin Lacey, 7 car, in fourth. Then we have Thomas Finsler, Curtis Yancey, Ricky Hart Jr., Garrett Hall, Trey Ellis, and Kevin Foster rounding out your top 10.
Jason Greenwell, the final driver in this season's playoff cutoff, will start in the 11th spot with Brandon Jackson at his outside. Then Benny Hogan on the inside of the row behind, starting 13th, with James Healy to his outside starting 14th. Then we got Tyler Rowland and Bill Harkins making up the row after that in 15th and 16th respectively. Connor Sawyer will start in 17th. Paul Wilson behind him in 18th. Peter Murphy in 19th. And David Leakey will round out the top 20.
In 21st, Drew Kennedy in the 19 car, followed by Matt Crockett in the 10. In 23rd position, Mason Flagar in the 72, followed by Cale Zook of the 44. Then we have Alan Castle, Michael Ramos, Eddie Haggy, Terry Condis, Brett Guzik, and Christopher Ferrara in 30th position.
And to round off tonight's grid, Victor Weaver in the 23 will start in 31st position with Mark Allen Bivens to his outside in 32nd. Braden Black in the 15 car makes his debut tonight. He'll start 33rd on his very first race attempt, with James Hartley to his outside in 34th. And Gary Wright in the 6th car is the driver who rounds off tonight's field.
So that's going to do it for our grid. So we go ahead and pull up our race info real quick, and you can really see the shape of this Darlington Raceway. You can see the asymmetrical shape that it is, the almost, I don't really know what sort of shape that is. I was going to say kind of like an egg shape, but not really. But you can see the 1.31 mile track, 107 degrees, track temperature 76 degrees, air temperature here in Darlington, South Carolina, virtual Darlington, South Carolina. Brought to you through iRacing.
Yeah, you can most certainly tell that Darlington isn't a very modern track. Of course, it's one of the longest lasting on the NASCAR schedule, and certainly isn't cookie cutter like a lot of those tracks like Kansas, Kentucky, Texas that are all very similar. Darlington really isn't similar to any other track on the calendar between its banking and its size, so it's unique, and it's going to provide some great racing tonight. The pace car is off onto pit road on the left. We're getting ready to go tonight. Nick Nickerson, Davey Hendricks on the front row for the first time. Cody Welch, last week's race winner. Benjamin Lacey, another playoff driver with a win as well. Waiting for the drivers to go. The green flag is out. Nick Nickerson will get a jump. Huge jump for Cody Welch, but an even bigger one for Davey Hendricks. Last week's rookie, first-time race driver, now the second time in the Bandit Racing League. He goes right to the front. Davey Hendricks leads into turn 2.
Yeah, huge jump from Hendricks. Nick Nickerson battling back, though, on what is kind of the inside line there. Nickerson going to be able to hold on to second position, but Benjamin Lacey is fighting. Curtis Yancey going to look to the inside of the 85 car, though. Keep an eye on that 51 Jimmy Johnson paint scheme.
I kept an eye through that corner on the 85 of Cody Welch. He got a significant portion of that outside wall and left a pretty decent stripe there through 3 and 4, so some issues here early with getting grip for the 85 car Cody Welch, and we have a caution already, very first one of the race. Didn't really get a chance to get going, but Curtis Yancey already up 2 spots there in that very first stint.
Yeah, incident here between Braden Black and David Leakey. Braden Black in the Dale Jarrett UPS paint scheme, I believe. David Leakey saw him earlier, some good damage for that car. Let's go ahead, rewind, see if we can see what happened. So there you see 4 wide through here. Just a little bit of contact getting into the wall. 2 of them getting together, and Braden Black and David Leakey both going to suffer a good bit of damage there.
Yeah, it looks like actually David Leakey had already had kind of a previous half incident in the corner before, hence why he was so off the pace there down the backstretch. Him and a couple of other guys got together. He lost a significant amount of traction there through 1 and 2, and as a result, kind of the momentum sending him backwards got him interlocked with Braden Black, and just like that, very first caution of the night.
27 car of Michael Ramos involved in that as well. Some heavy front end damage for him. Luckily, though, these guys, for those of you that are new watching, they do have 1 fast repair in the pits. That means they can go to the pits. Car's going to look just like brand new. It's just going to take a second to repair, but they only get 1 of those per race. Davey Hendricks and Nick Nickerson going to be out front, though. Hendricks set down the quickest time of the race so far. We hadn't been racing long, only 4 laps down. But Hendricks set down the quickest time with a 56. Oh, I'm sorry, with a 32.04. I got confused there. I was looking at the last time instead of the best time, and as I say, that's going to go ahead and remind me to bring the gap up onto the screen instead of our last time.
Well, I mean, it was a very short first stint, less than 2 complete laps. But I definitely think we did learn a little bit about tonight's race. First of all, Cody Welch, last week's race winner, a guy we know knows these similar kind of mile and a half style ovals well, because he won last week at New Hampshire. And Darlington, of course, not a similar track, but at least similarly sized in a lot of ways. And we saw Welsh having some troubles there in the top line, whether it be just trying to run above Curtis Yancey in the 51, who was very aggressive there off the start. Whether that be it or not, he was having some trouble there, keeping it off the outside wall on cold tires, and took a bit of a scrape as a result of his troubles. So we'll see if that continues to have lingering effects going forward. But for now, I mean, we know Cody's a talented guy. We know he's great at some of these more difficult tracks. He's always been quick at the ovals, meaning he's got good hands and is really good at reacting and keeping the hands moving. So we'll see if he can carry those skills over till tonight. We got the guys going about double file, so we should be going next time by. The lights on the pace car are off, so we're going to go 1 to go. But yeah, it was a very short stint, but Davey Hendricks, man, he really proved there at the beginning not only how quick he's going to be on these short runs, getting the car up to speed, and if it's anything like last week, short runs are going to be paramount, but now he puts himself in the best spot in the field. I think the first time he started from pole, well, I say pole, but the first spot in a restart all season, so this will be very telling, but he opts for the outside line, something done by most of the veterans of the series, so we'll see if that carries over for him. But the 54 car, off to a good start, his second ever race start.
Yeah, definitely a great start, and gonna have to look for that jump on this restart now. Nick Nickerson is gonna want to do the same thing that Hendricks did in the last restart. We'll see if he's able to do it. One guy that I think we're gonna need to watch, that 51 car of Curtis Yancey. We know how aggressive the 51 can be. He's starting up there behind Hendricks, and if Hendricks gets the jump that he did the last time, I feel like that 51 car is gonna be a good position if he can just hang on and follow him.
You're right. I guarantee it. I think that's exactly what he's thinking too, especially if he has a lot of faith here in Hendricks. But as we come off the final corner, we're getting ready to go. Very late start here at Darlington. They sent the pace car off very early, so we got a little bit of time to go. But Davey Hendricks is on the gas. The 54 car is off, and so is Nickerson. But Yancey, you called it there, Evan, perfectly. Not only up to third there off the restart, but side by side going into corner number 1 with the 2 car. They are dead even, and remember the high line here is more ideal at Darlington, so the 51 car is going to get the better run off of corner 2. But Nick Nickerson, great job getting traction there in the middle of the corner. Now looks like Yancey's going to have to go on a proper offensive, but Benjamin Lacey is not falling back. Great restart for the guys in second to fourth.
Yeah, we're going on board with Benjamin Lacey right here. You can watch this battle happening right in front of him. You know Benjamin Lacey knows how to work these ovals. He won at Auto Club, 7 top 5s on the season. And here's a good view of the aggressive Curtis Yancey right in front of him, and he is going to be trying to get up to Nick Nickerson as the second caution going to be out already.
Yeah, quick succession here at Darlington. I mean, with all this competitive racing up front, you got to assume that Odaways further back it's the same. And well, you don't always get the the cleanest racing, especially at a track like Darlington. It can be difficult on one zone. So here we are checking out the incident. Got to keep an eye here on car numbers. We saw James Healy involved. That was the 39 car, trying to put an identity there on that second entry, but
it's the 89 of Paul Wilson.
Right, yeah, Paul had a really great race last week, actually, so we'll see this again. I believe this is coming out of corners number 3 and 4, so there's Wilson, the 39 if Healy gets in the wall. Kind of just a slight wrong place, wrong time situation. Both guys kind of bounced at the same time, took the same piece of track position, and well, just like that at a track banked so hard as Darlington, little things like that can happen quick, but at least the 89 of Paul Wilson was able to get back to speed and should be able to make it back to the pits, and looking live, he has made it back to pit road.
Yeah, that's what happens, and a track like this that top groove is up so high, it's hard to get down low when you see an accident in front of you, and obviously can't go high because there is the wall. But Matt Crockett, driver of the 10 car, right now sitting in 23rd position. So we'll see if we can pull him down into the broadcast booth and have a quick little chat with him. Hey Matt, this is Evan up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you. So you're the sponsor of today's race, or I guess Utah Foster Care is the sponsor of today's race, but I don't know if you want to say anything about them. If you do, go ahead, but if not, just what do you expect from today's race here at Darlington?
Hoping for a clean race, but 9-10 laps in so far, and 2 cautions could be avoidable. I want to thank Utah Foster Care for allowing me to run their logos to allow for this race to basically be possible with their name on it. Thank you for anybody who's watching for Utah Foster Care. And, in my heart, every kid deserves a home, a loving family. So if you're interested, look into foster care and help support the kids that need a home. And let's hopefully this rest of the race of the 100 laps here and can go green.
Yes, sir. Every kid definitely deserves a home. So for all of those of you at home, utahfostercare.org if you want to learn more about them, or possibly donate, utahfostercare.org. So good luck to you, Matt. Sitting down in 23rd position right now, I believe, but a long race to go here on lap 10 of 100. We'll be watching you for you to work your way up there. Good luck.
Thanks, sir.
All right, that was, of course, Matt Crockett, driver of the 10 car. Up
Well,
out.
second.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, second caution of the night again, quick succession, very similar to last week here at New Hampshire. Hopefully, we're gonna start to over the course of the race get some longer green flag runs. At least we did last week, so that's always the hope. But yeah, the question now becomes, you know, with that potential strategy in people's heads, with the possibility of a race filled with lots of cautions. Now the question becomes strategically, do you want to prioritize these short runs, really get up there to the front and try to get prime track position? Because as long as you can pick the line in the first row and get the better run into corners number 1 and 2, you're always going to get the best start on restarts. And well, if our green flag stints don't last very long, then that is the place to be. So Davey Hendricks in a good spot right now. But we'll have to see if that changes guys' approach in the short, long run manner rather than conserving. Well, maybe you want to get that car of yours up there up front, and that way you can kind of be in control of the race, if indeed we go quite a few cautions into the night.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have 4 sets of tires in the pits and then 1 set on them for 5 total sets of tires today in the 100 laps that we're going to run. See, we're getting double filed up right now. And one thing that I feel like is interesting to look at, Davey Hendricks out front, not a playoff driver. 2nd through 5th are playoff drivers. Then you have Thomas Finsler in the 17 car, not a playoff driver. 10th position, Tyler Rowland, also not a playoff driver. Other than that, the top 13 fairly stacked with playoff drivers. So kind of interesting to look at the drivers that are and aren't playoff drivers. But here you see double filed up, getting ready to go back green. 11 laps down out of 100. Hopefully it'll be a while before we see that caution flag fly again.
Yeah, hopefully so. And the question becomes, if you're Nick Nickerson and you're essentially the top guy in point scoring tonight in the playoffs, are you quite as worried about beating Davey Hendricks? But Nick's a competitive guy. He won 4 races during the regular season. You know he's going to push him. Davey Hendricks getting ready to go. Real early jump for the 54 car, trying to mix up his starts. But green flag for the 3rd time tonight in our event here at Darlington Raceway. Great jump there for the 54 car. Much better jump for the 2. Curtis Yancey not able to clear in time, but Benjamin Lacey gets a great start as well. All of the top 4 separated by less than about a second as we come into turn number 2.
Yeah, great start there. You see we've single filed out a fairly good ways back. Trey Ellis there, one driver that we haven't mentioned his paint scheme yet, but running a special paint scheme there. A Lenny Pond paint scheme. The Pepsi number 4 cars. There you see he goes under the Ricky Rudd Tide paint scheme.
Yeah, the 17 car there, Thomas Founsor, take a lot of wall there through 3 and 4. Remember what we saw with Welch earlier. So again, we'll have to see with these cars taking some right side damage, how is that going to affect them for the longer runs? But some trouble there. Now we got a battle in behind Tyler Rowland and Jason Greenwell. Greenwell able to hold them off into the entry to turn number 3, but keep an eye here on Action Jackson himself trying to get underneath Tyler Rowland. Doesn't have the ideal line, but he does have a decent track position. Now Rowland is going to get the run off onto the front stretch. He's going to go side by side with Greenwell, but right as this battle starts to get a little bit more heated, that is caution number 3 of the night.
James R. Hartley and Gary Wright going to be involved in this caution. Go back. We need to go back just a little bit more there. You see the 98 car, that pink car right behind Matt Crockett that we just talked to. Up and into the wall a little bit. 76 of Mark Allen Bivens just barely misses it. And the 98 going to spin it. The good thing about this track is there is plenty of places to go low if you can get down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a thin track here at Darlington, and it was impressive how many guys were able to predict his movements and avoid there. Certainly just one of those situations where, you know, not quite as much grip or traction as you're expecting there on the outside line will really check you out. But here is a view from another car. This is the old Milwaukee livery of
Gary White, the driver of the 6 car there. See if we can watch that one more time. It looks like he got hit from the rear end, I believe, as he was trying to slow down. Yeah, the 19 car, looks like he couldn't see what exactly was happening in front of him, and right into the back of the 6.
Yeah, it could have just potentially been a situation maybe with a late caution or something like that. Really wanted to try to commit and make it through, but not always the best course of action. So surprisingly, Drew Kenny, at least on my telemetry, doesn't appear to have any significant front nose damage. The front of the car looks pretty decent, but the back end of Mr. Gary Wright's number 6 car does not. So, well, actually, from that camera, it doesn't look stellar, but yeah, Gary Wright's going to need to use his quick repair, and looks like Drew Kenny, I think he already used it in that first incident. So guys, at the very beginning, really going to be put on a pretty ticking clock here, because if you've already got those quick repairs done, got to really watch over your car, watch out for your equipment, and just make sure you can make it to the end for maximum points, let alone going for the win.
And a couple drivers heading into the pits. So far, most of the drivers have not pitted. The top 23 out of 35 have not pitted. Paul Wilson, that you're looking at now in the 89 car, has pitted, as has Michael Ramos, Murphy, Eddie Haggy. Christopher Ferrara there in the 13. He has pitted twice, so you see him coming out of the pits right now, as has Brett Guzik. They both just pitted this past lap. James Healy pitted back on lap 7. He had some damage earlier. James R. Hartley, of course, just pitted now. He was just involved in that accident. And Gary Wright, his second pit stop of the night right now. Out front, though, guys deciding not to come down pit road just yet, but I'm not exactly sure how long a tank of fuel is going to last, but I'm sure these guys are going to be wanting tires fairly long once we get some green flag laps under our belt.
Yeah, that's really something that hasn't played in effect quite yet, and that's something we didn't really mention pre-race, but Darlington, similar to something like in Atlanta or some track like that, or even New Hampshire last week, brutal on tires. I mean, over the course of the run, trying to keep the car to have enough traction to stay right against that top wall to guarantee momentum through the straightaways, where you got to rip up rubber to do so. And over the course of the run, that's definitely going to make it tougher to stay competitive up there in the front. We saw last week, guys would, go away from taking tires, kind of shy away from that strategy, and instead really focus on the longer runs and trying to stay out front for longer periods of time. And for some it worked, for some it didn't. But if you're a guy here up front, you're probably just going to want to go make a pretty conventional strategy choice. If the guys around you take tires, then you should be taking them too. It's hard to be the trendsetter here in one of these races, especially where tire strategy is the key. And well, we haven't quite seen it yet, because still not even just under a fifth of the way through the event, and quite a few cautions, so not a ton of laps to run, really burning up those tires. But we'll see here. Maybe things will change. Maybe we can get a longer run. And we know Curtis Yancey and Benjamin Lacey, Nick Nickerson, and of course the very fast Davey Hendricks so far tonight, they've all been really competitive on these restarts. It's just a question of once we get that longer green flag run and these guys can get a few more laps under their belt, we'll see who's really quicker or longer on. We'll see who's been conserving their tires best, and in turn how long some of these pit stops are going to be tonight for tires, because that really is the biggest question mark for tonight's event in regards to strategy.
Right now, though, you see double filed up riding on board with Davey Hendricks. But double filed up there as he shuts his car off to save fuel. You see the lights on the pace car are off, and if we head to the back view, you can see all the cars back behind him. Double filed up, ready to get going here after our third caution. Lap 18 of 100 right now, so still plenty of time to go. You see Hendricks running the, I believe, Kyle Busch paint scheme, the Toyota KR paint scheme. But everybody tight, double filed up, ready to get going, and there the big jump from the 54 car, Davey Hendricks. 2 car of Nick Nickerson looking to follow, but spread out at the front early already. Your top 5 single file.
And Benjamin Lacey there didn't really wait around for to make his move. He got right by the 51 of Yancey, but you saw there a huge wreck in the background. Keep an eye there for a provisional caution. Still nobody foreseeably coming off the track. You saw Brandon Jackson there in the background. A couple other guys seemingly involved, but no cautions. We're going to continue. But yeah, great start there for Benjamin Lacey. Just the same as Hendricks did to Nickerson to start off the race. We saw there from Lacey, he was able to go right around Curtis Yancey before we even got to turn 1. Now that we have kind of settled in a little bit, there's a great battle up here between Hendricks and Nickerson. Lacey not too far behind, and the 51 car of Yancey right on the back bumper of the 7 as we come around turn number 2.
Yeah, single filed up early. We have to go a good ways back before we see some battling, but here's Tyler Rowland and Thomas Finsler. Rowland able to get the position right now up to 8th, up 7 positions from where he started. But now the caution going to be out again. Brandon Jackson going to be sideways in the middle of the track right now. Jason Greenwell, Braden Black also involved. Black, the new driver to the series. So you can see Brandon Jackson in the bottom right. Obviously, very frustrated.
Yeah, Brandon has not had an easy last couple weeks. You remember last week there at New Hampshire where he got involved in quite a few of other people's incidents as well. So the driver of the 99 car just has not had a good start to the playoffs, not necessarily by his own fault, but he's just found himself in some bad situations. Keeping an eye on it here. We'll see a replay. So there up front is trying to keep an eye. So there is the 15 car, I believe, of Braden Black we talked about earlier. He gets involved in a huge wreck. Trying to keep an eye on who that is down there that he got into. But somewhere in the back there, Brandon must have been involved. Everybody behind was able to avoid, so we'll have to go to another replay of that to really figure out what happened there.
See, it's the 83 of Greenwell, and there looks like it may have been some internet connection issues. See, Christopher Ferrara gets involved, and Brandon Jackson involved as well. You see on the top of the screen, Brandon Jackson slowing down, and whoever is behind him just didn't.
Yeah, just gets absolutely run over. That I can see why. Jackson would be mad. That was well after. And yeah, we've seen lots of guys tonight. These wrecks up front. You have a wide racetrack. There's really no reason to be going full speed up top there trying to avoid, because well, if you're on a flat bank or non-banked front or back straightaway, guys aren't going to slide down the racetrack. Just pick a lane and go there. But tonight, we've been seeing lots of these post-accident additional accidents, and I think those are really what are bringing out our caution.
Yeah, there's James R. Hartley, the one that you saw get into the back of the 99 car, and you can see the damage that he has to that pink number 99 car. A lot of damage for him. Gonna have to use his fast repair for sure if he hasn't already. So you see he jumps to the pit lane. Heading back live though. There's the 99 of Brandon Jackson heading in. Try and get his car fixed. 83 also on pit road. None of our leaders deciding to come down pit road. The furthest up driver that has chosen to come down pit road is Paul Wilson in the 89 car. He came down on lap 7. He was only in there for 6 seconds though, so I doubt that he got any tires. Probably just got some damage repaired, possibly a fast repair, and headed on out, sitting in 16th position right now. Everybody ahead of him has not been on pit road in today's race, and that's probably the smart thing to do, honestly. 23 laps down, but these tires don't have 23 laps on them.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I think it'll be interesting to see where guys are going to go with tire strategy. I mean, again, as we talked about a moment ago, Evan, we really haven't had a chance for these guys to test the rubber. I mean, we haven't really had opportunities where guys have really had to make those aggressive inside moves. I know we saw one from, I think, Tyler Rowland there on that last stint. A couple of guys were going for him, but really haven't had that long run where they're really going to start to burn up. So on some of these restarts here, after a couple laps, then a restart, you really don't know where your tires are when you take into account both being fairly cold and also fairly old. So it's a combination that could make for some chaos here off the restart. Obviously, we're hoping for a longer green flag run, but the question is, when do guys try to make that decision? If you're a driver at the front, okay, I'm going to come in for either a green flag stop or a yellow stop, because of course we have 5 sets of tires. We're past the 5th waypoint of this tonight's event, so got plenty of time. But there you see on the inside is the 98 car there of James R. Hartley letting everybody by, so he will give guys the spot, head to the end of the line, and we're going to get stacked up, doubled up, and ready to go for tonight's 4th start of the race, 3rd restart, as we come into turn number 4.
Yeah, watching Hartley trying to get into position. Maybe he's just heading down. Not exactly sure what Hartley is doing. Heading onto pit road now so that we can get back going green. And we do the 54 car with the big jump out front. 2 car of Nick Nickerson, again doing his best to try and follow Curtis Yancey, and Benjamin Lacey going to be behind him. You see Nick Nickerson not letting the 54 car get as far away as he's been a couple restarts. And there, now you see he might be looking to the inside. He is to the inside. The 2 car of Nick Nickerson, the 54 of Davey Hendricks, going to be on the outside. Hendricks going to have the preferred line being up there, and he's going to be able to hold on to the position for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Really impressed with how the 54 car stuck to his guns there. Just said, I'm going to commit to the top line. I don't really care where you go, and it worked for him. He kept the better run, as you should, there on the top line. But now Curtis Yancey's getting in the equation. Benjamin Lacey, who was ahead of him provisionally a moment ago, has kind of moved back a little ways on that last restart. So Curtis Yancey's dropped back there on the straightaway. Both Hendricks and Nickerson got great grip and traction through that last set of corners. So got a great run there down the backstretch. And you saw there, Nickerson had better run there on the cold tires in the very beginning of that stint. The caution comes out yet again, but yeah, Davey Hendricks there, he's been like the Da Vinci Code on these restarts. Nobody's been able to solve them as of yet.
Yeah, the caution out again. Alan Castle involved, Terry Condis involved, and that's going to be our 5th caution here on lap 27. Let's see if we can see what happened. Following along with Alan Castle here, driver of the 93. Up into the wall, and the Dale Jarrett 15 involved as well. I believe I saw Christopher Ferrara there too.
Yeah, Matt Crockett would have taken a bit of a bump as well. And again, just a rough debut night here for Braden Black. We've seen him in the 15 car involved in a lot of stuff. And once again, you'll see here, he was the UPS entry that kind of gets shunted there from the top down. And there was Matt Crockett. Managed to keep it on track, but the 10 car took a big hit. And there is Terry Condis there in the 32. Just a lot of guys involved here. And a lot of guys, based on the only one quick repair limitation, are going to be possibly exiting this event early. It's been a pretty hectic first couple stints.
They're riding along with Terry Condis and getting sideways, doing his best to save it, but nothing he can do to prevent himself from getting up into the outside wall there, and a good bit of damage for that 32 car. You can see him on pit road right now. Yancey going to be the driver out front, though, as we have to talk about pit strategy. So right now, top 5, Curtis Yancey, Garrett Hall, Benny Hogan, Bill Harkins, and Brett Guzik. Yancey opting to stay out on track, not come in the pits. First driver out of the pits, though, Davey Hendricks in the 54, obviously, but he's all the way back in 10th position. So a couple of drivers going to be in front of him. Trey Ellis in 6th right now, in that Lenny Pond throwback scheme that we saw from the 70s. So Trey Ellis, he pitted on lap 21, as did Michael Ramos, who is directly behind him, and Thomas Finsler and David Leakey, who's with a little bit of damage, but directly behind them, sitting in 9th position. Like I said, Davey Hendricks going to be back in 10th position, the first driver out of the pits that pitted this lap. Then we have Nickerson, Lacey, Roland able to move up a little bit. Eddie Haggy, who was only in the pits this past lap for 6 seconds. And then Kevin Foster, Cody Welch, Cale Zook, Paul Wilson, Peter Murphy, Victor Weaver, Connor Sawyer, Mark Allen Bivens, Drew Kennedy, Mason Flagar, Ricky Hart Jr. all the way back in 25th position. I'm not sure what happened to him. May have gotten into an accident. Gary Wright, Christopher Farrar, Jason Greenwell, Healy Condis, Brandon Jackson, we've seen have some trouble tonight. Then Matt Crockett heading out of the pits right now to be his 3rd time in the pits today. See some major damage to the Utah foster care car. Unfortunately, just unlucky for him. Then Braden Black, also unlucky tonight. Alan Castle and James Hartley going to round out your field.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye there on the 64 car Ricky Hart, the Ricky Bobby entry we just talked about a moment ago, considerably far back in the field, considering both where he qualified and where he was running a little bit earlier. Yeah, just ran a very long pit stop, almost, there sitting there in the 25 to 30 second range. So I'm not sure if he had a little bit of damage, decided to save and forego the quick repair, and take the risk of running at the back of the pack where, incidents are a little bit more, consistently happening. But at the same time, you can spend some time back there. You're on new tires. You're well under what the probable going rate is going to be for tires throughout the race, probably about every 20, 25 laps. And you've got plenty to go for that regard. So I think not a bad move here by Ricky Hart, especially if he's going to save that quick repair for later, because both what we've seen, both the last couple events here in the short tracks and at Darlington, I think those are going to be crucial. So Ricky Hart, perhaps not a bad plan, but for now, it is going to be Curtis Yancey there up front, a guy who's been running up front all race, so we know he's got the pace. Now is the question, can he still do it on these older tires? And he was inside Garrett Hall, a guy who's in the playoffs, but we haven't really seen up here, at least on restarts here in the top 2 or maybe in the top 5. So a big moment here for Garrett Hall, but he is to the inside of the 51 of Yancey. We'll see if he'll be very aggressive. Curtis Yancey can get a great jump. He does. Just takes off miles away from everybody else. Garrett Hall really waiting there to go. Not sure if he got tire spin or what, but guys are getting stacked up immediately there and behind. You see Davey Hendricks there in the 54 number red, well, the red and white number 54 car, and there to the inside. He's already made a move. He is working his way up through the field and off to a great start there. He is trying to pull away from the guys behind that he's battling with, like Nick Nickerson or Cody Welch, as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah, some trouble there for Bill Harkins there on the start, driver of the 11 car. I don't know if he missed a shift, but trouble in the back. Paul Wilson heading around. Matt Crockett getting into it as well, and that's going to bring out another caution. Going to rewind, head to the replay, watching Paul Wilson in that 89 car. So you see him racing with Eddie Hagge down there to his inside. So just a little bit of two drivers trying to use the same space. It looked like Paul Wilson may have come down a little bit, or maybe Eddie Hagge came up. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure there will be differing arguments for either side, but Hagge and Wilson both going to be involved in that to bring out another caution.
Well, the one major casualty of that incident was Cody Welch, last week's winner there at New Hampshire, coming back tonight hoping to capitalize on his points, because of course we don't do resets here once you get a win like the normal NASCAR playoff format, so we don't have that benefit. So Cody Welch, the fact that he was involved and will need a quick repair is going to be huge for tonight's race. But this is from Victor Weaver's perspective. You see, really doesn't know what's going on, pretty blind to the whole situation, even with the wide track. Once you get there into the corners, not a lot of opportunity to move down to avoid the incident. So he saw the guys in front going around until he got clipped there from the outside. Really just no opportunity to go anywhere. Now here is the incident again. This is on the onboard perspective from Wilson. You see there Welch getting caught in the background, Weaver going around, but at first it was that slight contact, as you said, between Eddie Hagge and Paul Wilson, really just going for the same piece of real estate. And sometimes here at Darlington, where the lines are so different, the banking is so dissimilar from each other, that can be huge. This is the perspective, I believe, from Matt Crockett. You see Ricky Hart Jr. there in front. Oh, he did catch him. I was going to say that was about the worst luck you can have as a race driver. Went right to the bottom there to try to avoid it. It's what we saw. I assumed Victor Weaver, if he had the opportunity, would have done. And he did there. But again, sometimes it's just the luck of the draw, and you find a car right in front of you that you weren't expecting a couple seconds before.
Yeah, you try and avoid it because there's smoke across the whole track. You don't know what you're going to run into. When you see that smoke, you go into the smoke hoping there's nothing down there at the bottom, and unluckily for Matt Crockett there was, but some damage there to the right side of the 51 of Curtis Yancey, a little bit of a Darlington stripe. Shouldn't be anything too bad though, but a driver that I've been keeping my eye on, and I think is important to keep an eye on. We kind of mentioned Garrett Hall in that 26 car. He had a really good season last season, but just hasn't had the luck this year. There you see him on Skype. H&M Motorsports entry, 30-year-old from Gastonia, North Carolina, 1 top 5 and 6 top 10s, and he's running up there. He hasn't come in the pits. One of 3 drivers that has not come in the pits all day, with Curtis Yancey in front of him and Benny Hogan behind him. The 3 drivers that have not come in the pits. But Garrett Hall doing a great job to keep it up there, sitting in second position right now, and one that I think we need to keep an eye on looking towards the rest of this race, because if Curtis Yancey, Garrett Hall, and Benny Hogan, if they can hold it up there on those older tires, that'll be interesting to watch throughout the race. I guess they're really not going to have much more tires than anyone else. There's 4 sets in the pit, so it should be plenty for anybody. But still, if you're able to drive it up there on those older tires, that's only a plus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, the unlikely benefit, that's something that in theory, if these guys can make it work, would be huge for the races as lights in the pace car come off. So 1 to go here on the caution. But yeah, if guys are able to take this opportunity on the older tires, really push them as far as they can go, take advantage of these cautions and opportunities for a reset, and just push them as far as you can take them. And if you can get the opportunity where, due to tire strategy, due to an opportune moment, you can pit the same time as the guys that have already come in for a tire stop, you'll have problems with fuel. Your pit stop will be a little bit longer, but you'll have great pit entry track position. and you might be able to just keep yourself up front if you're one of these guys like Garrett Hall or Michael Ramos, who got up here as a result of, pit strategy. Same with Benny Hogan. All great drivers. It's just, sometimes circumstance can be more powerful than luck, and they're really trying to make their own luck tonight. So we'll see if that works. That'll be the goal for these guys running along. But Curtis Yancey has shown both pace and the ability so far to conserve tires. So Garrett Hall's got a tough challenge, but as you've talked about, he's got plenty of top 10s this season, and he's got a top 5. So we know Garrett Hall has what it takes to put himself here in the upper echelon of the drivers lineup.
Yeah, there you see the 26 H&M Motorsports entry there, and we're going to follow along with Yancey as he takes off for the restart there. You can see everyone behind him and stacking up behind him. As we look in the background, Michael Ramos going to be taking away second position. Garrett Hall back in third. Davey Hendricks all the way back up to fourth now, and side by side Benny Hogan and, well, it was Nick Nickerson. Nick Nickerson gone by now, able to take away fifth position. You can see Benny Hogan falling back as Brett Guzik going to challenge to his inside.
We just had a pass for the race lead. Michael Ramos, huge send into turn number 3, and he gets the spot, takes it over from Yancey. We saw the 27 car at the beginning of tonight's event get in a wreck almost immediately. He was behind the 8 ball early, but he is, as I just mentioned, making his own luck. Gets the pass done early there, and Yancey a stellar run down the backstretch. We're side by side a little ways back. Garrett Hall trying to hold off Davey Hendricks, who's moving through the field. A non-playoff driver surrounded by a field of them. He's got Nick Nickerson, who's been great all night too. Another guy on fresh tires. Plenty of moving pieces here early, but Nick's going to go down to the bottom here in turn number 3. Garrett Hall on the bottom line underneath Yancey, running a little bit off the pace. You got to watch out for him, but they're going to go side by side this time. Hall's going to go to the low line, which should give Nickerson the run, but instead he's going to go behind Hendricks. We're side by side battling for third across the line. Great battle here between all these various guys in the championship. Garrett Hall's going to wash up a little bit, kind of got in that lower section of the groove there. And Brett Guzik in the 04, another car who got in a wreck early, making his own luck here, trying to recover. Curtis Yancey, those older tires, they are just killing him now as Davey Hendricks, massive run, goes from about half a second back to take the spot. We're 3 wide and behind. Tyler Rowland now up in the top 5. The 80 car is on rails at this point in the stint. He is just taken off, and now it becomes a battle between Guzik, Hall, and the moving up through the field, Mr. Trey Ellis in the number 4 car.
Yeah, you can really see the difference that old and new tires make. Curtis Yancey's been able to hang in there, but it's been a little bit tougher for Garrett Hall, who's sitting back in 7th position right now. Trey Ellis, like you said, though, moving up through the field. And Michael Ramos, a great job to keep himself up in first position, pitted on lap 21, so a little bit earlier than some of these other guys around him, but up 25 positions from where he started, Michael Ramos in the 27 car.
Michael Ramos, just a stellar night so far tonight. We're having a really interesting moment here. Curtis Yancey, who just got passed by Nick Nickerson, those old tires still brutal for him. He just dropped back as a result of trying to make the move, had to take the inside line. Now he's going to have roll into his inside the line, and that'll be much more detrimental because the 80 car is on new tires. He's going to take that spot for himself. Up to the top line, the 80 car goes, and guys like Tyler Rowland, to keep in mind on the first stint before green flag or yellow flag pit stops, was ahead of a guy like Curtis Yancey, or he was behind, I should say. Now, as a result of the strategy, even when they pit, more than likely going to be able to hold on to that number 4 spot. So Tyler Rowland, great start to the race for him, but this is the battle now between Ricky Hart, that is the 76, I believe, of Mason Flagar, or that may be mildly incorrect. It's not, but they're in behind Cody Welch. We saw just got in a wreck a moment ago. He's trying to recover through the field. And sorry, that is the 76 of Mark Allen Bivens. So 2 guys don't often run together in the race order, according to what we've seen the last couple weeks. We see smoke up front. Keep an eye on what that is. Everybody's all okay up ahead, but Bivens able to hold off the defending series champion here, Mr. Ricky Hart Jr., and he has got defending race winner Cody Welch breathing right down the back of his neck.
See a dive right in front of him, the Tide car. I'm not sure which Tide car I saw, but one of the Ricky Rudd entry Tide cars battling there for 12th and 13th position. Oh, and there you see the 88 car going to be sideways. Benny Hogan. Trouble there out of the corner. No caution, though. Able to collect himself back up, and some contact with the wall, but no caution as the 88 car of Benny Hogan able to collect himself back up. Back at the front, though, Davey Hendricks doing everything he can to catch Michael Ramos. Nick Nickerson not far behind, though, right on the tail and looking to the inside.
Yeah, he is indeed. Tonight's pole sitter has proven that Davey Hendricks, who started second, maybe doesn't have that pace on the longer runs that Nick Nickerson is known for. But remember, Davey Hendricks still has that top line. We're going to go side by side, crossing the line for the start of 45. Great battle here between these 2 gentlemen. 2 guys that not only because of tonight's pace are quick, but we saw from Hendricks last week both how composed and how quick he is on the short and the long runs. Nick Nickerson, of course, was your regular season champion, 4 wins. We know he's quick anywhere. But Michael Ramos, not even a playoff driver. This is a name-making performance for him. He is setting the tone here up front, the 27 car. He's got to hold off two very fast drivers. He's going to have a tough time here down the straightaway. He's going to get a huge run for the 51. You see right in the draft here, I don't think he's going to go to the inside here in corner number 1. Might wait and hold that top line, and he is. So he's going to stay there in the groove, try to wait for that move in the backstretch. But all this time, while these two guys battle, the number 2 car gets closer and closer.
Yeah, real quick, just a shout out to Mark Allen Bivens. Oh, and the 54 car going to get by him out front now. Michael Ramos down on the bottom. Detrimental for the 27 car. I looked down. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Back to 4th position now.
Looks like he just got a little bit too wide there through turn number 2. He was really getting some good runs there, really trying to maximize momentum with that top line here at Darlington. That is so key, but really, when you race up on the top line, you're playing with fire, and they always say when you're playing with fire, you might get burned, and in that case, the 27 car did. But look there on the track. You see he's well ahead of Benjamin Lacey, I should say, sitting there in the 5th spot there, but 2.5 seconds back. So not exactly a close running order here in the top 5, really anywhere. Besides, of course, the top 2 of Hendricks and Nickerson. Nickerson less than 2/10 behind your race leader. Now, Garrett Hall, a guy who didn't take pit tires to this point in the race, goes almost halfway in a 5-tire set race. Great effort here for conservation for the 26 car, but he does have to come down pit road.
Thomas Finsler also going to be down pit road, as is Benny Hogan, who you just saw in the wall right there. Victor Weaver and Mason Flagar also on pit road. Curtis Yancey all the way back in 29th position right now, trying to drive that 51 car up as much as he can, but out front, still Davey Hendricks with Nick Nickerson right on his tail. A little bit of a battle right here, though. Brett Guzik up there on the outside. Ricky Hart Jr. on his inside. Now the 44 car of Cale Zook to his inside.
Yeah, momentum is really proven key here tonight. Once you start to lose spots, it's really hard to conserve and conserve your position, get back on the line, and start going forward again. So we're seeing from Brett Guzik, hopefully it's just a stop of that because he's in the top 10. It'd be good to hold down that spot at least before the next caution if one does come out. But for now, this is the battle between Peter Murphy and Cody Welsh. Peter Murphy, another guy who's had a pretty busy last couple of weeks. He's had some good performances in there. And now, of course, last week's race winner, Mr. Cody Welsh, doesn't have an easy guy to defend from. But Cody is as quick as he's been. But, you know, some issues early have put him behind the 8 ball. Now he's going to move up into 11th with this pass on the inside down here. But, yeah, he just really hasn't looked himself. Hasn't quite been flying through the field as quickly as usually. You got to wonder, maybe that mindset there for Cody Welsh, a guy who's already won in the very first round of the playoffs, maybe trying to conserve a little bit, just hold on to his points as best he can. Really think about the bigger picture for a champion.
There you see Ricky Hart Jr. as he's able to get under Trey Ellis. He has a little bit of space out in front of him. Then you see from the hood cam, trouble for Mark Allen Bivens, though. It's actually Mark Allen Bivens' birthday, and a little bit of trouble for him as he's heading in the pits right now. So happy birthday to the driver of the 76 car, but probably not going the way that he wanted it to. Davey Hendricks, though, still out front. Nick Nickerson still on his tail, doing everything he can to run him down. Michael Ramos, you saw he lost the lead, but he didn't fall too far back, sitting in 5th position right now, 21 from where he started, and right on the tail of Benjamin Lacey. Behind him, though, last year's winner, Kevin Foster, sitting in 6th, and he's a driver that he likes to come out of nowhere, but he's looking to capitalize right now. Pass for the lead, though. Nick Nickerson to the inside. Davey Hendricks looks like he might have gotten to the wall. I'm not exactly sure, though. Nick Nickerson, anyway, to the inside and to the lead. Lap 52 now of 100 going to be led by Nick Nickerson. Davey Hendricks back to 2nd.
Yeah, you talk about coming out of nowhere like Michael Ramos did. Now look at Kevin Foster. He's doing the exact same thing. Now going to go over one of those genuine draft Miller cars. Gets underneath and puts himself up there into the 5th spot. So top 5 for Kevin Foster. He's very quietly been having a very busy but very productive night, up 4 spots from 10th to 6th. And Michael Ramos, huge check up there into that corner. He almost got hit by, I think that was the 19 car of Drew Kenny. Somebody had a huge run on him, a huge burst of speed. Drew Kenny's 2 laps down. Of course, Michael Ramos, a lead lap car. Now he's about to get passed by Ricky Hart Jr. Again, momentum is so key. And the 27 car right now does not have momentum in the positive direction. But there's Drew Kenny in the 19 car. Can he save it? He does. You saw there tapping the outside wall. The car already had significant damage, but was able to save it on corner exit. And great piece of driving there from Drew Kenny, who, as of this point in the race tonight, probably hasn't had the luck go his way.
Yeah, back up front, though. Cody Welch and Cale Zook. It was a little bit of a battle. Cody Welch pulling away now, but Cale Zook in the 44 car, right on his tail. He's one driver that I feel like I've mentioned a little bit throughout the season, but not too much. A good run, sitting in 9th position right now for the driver of the 44 car. Maybe that Ricky Rudd paint scheme helping him out a little bit. In the back, though, Peter Murphy back in 11th position. Peter Murphy right on the tail of Trey Ellis in the 4 car. 2 special throwback paint schemes here tonight. It's Michael Ramos going to be heading in the pits, as is Brett Guzik, David Leakey, Thomas Finsler, and the yellow flag going to be out again. Gary Wright with trouble.
Yeah, perfect timing from those guys that just pitted if they came in before the caution. Of course, you never want a penalty for pitting under caution. Just tell that to Lewis Hamilton last year at Monza. I know it's a F1 reference, but yeah, that certainly can play havoc on people's races. But yeah, perfect timing for some of those guys. But yeah, you said it was the 6 car of Gary Wright in question. Here's the replay. So you see the number 6. I thought it was a Milwaukee draft car. It is not. Another situation, again, an incident further up front, but guys tonight just not really checking up for each other. It looks like guys are really trying to keep the pedal down as they try to avoid incidents. In that case, just a very similar spot. So let's see up front what happens first. 2 guys up ahead get involved. Ahead of any of this happening, they bounce back up and only gets collected there at the very end. Was that Brandon Jackson I saw again? Is the 99 cars tonight getting even worse tonight here at Darlington?
I'm not sure exactly who that was up front. Let's see if we can rewind and figure it out. I don't know if it was the 51 car or the 99 car, but here you see coming from the back. Big hit.
It was the 51 car of Curtis Yancey, your former race leader. Wow.
So let's go ahead and head to a replay watching that 51 car of Curtis Yancey. It's also going to involve the 39. Let's see what happened. So they're watching the 51, the 39 of James Healy. It looks like the 51 just gave a little tap to the 39, sent the 39 into the wall, and ended up wrecking both of them, possibly ending both of their days.
Yeah, I think the 51 car should at least have another quick repair, but I think that was just a case of Curtis Yancey really trying to catch up to the field in front, was really pushing there. And you see as he comes up, the car on the in front of the number 39 car, he moves out of the way, so I guess he takes the opportunity, okay, and we'll give him a shove by him, and then I'll take the spot there through 3 and 4. But again, if a guy is far off the pace and loses the back end, bump traffic anywhere can be dangerous, but most certainly at a track with such heavy banking like Darlington. So it was a bold move. I know Curtis Yancey known for those aggressive moves. Perhaps that time, better to leave the aggressive moves fate in your own hands rather than relying on somebody else to expect a bump in that situation. But yeah, I think he should have a quick repair. So as long as he learns from that situation and puts himself back in the field with a fully new number 51 race car, I'd say that his chances tonight are not done, because as we saw earlier, he's great conserving tires and he had a great lap there in qualifying. So night's not over yet for Yancey, but that will certainly not make it easy. But Odaways ahead, Connor Sawyer, as we see right now in the 48 car, is heading down pit road.
Yeah, and the driver of the 51, Curtis Yancey, is obviously a great driver, but there you see just almost a careless mistake there. You really got to pay attention to the drivers in front of you, especially at a track like this, a fairly one-grooved racetrack. You really have to watch the drivers in front of you. Not everybody's going to be on the same pit strategy as you are. That means they're not going to be as fast as you are, and you can't just run over somebody. The 39 car just riding along in a big old bump from the 51. Going to send him into the wall and ruin the 51's day too. If he just checked up, maybe sent it to the inside, we wouldn't be under caution right now. But that's what happens, and you learn from your mistakes. Nick Nickerson going to be the driver out front. Davey Hendricks in second. Tyler Rowland up 12 from where he started, sitting in third, followed by Benjamin Lacey and Kevin Foster. Ricciard Jr. has worked his way all the way up to 6 now in that 64 Wonder Bread car.
Yeah, I think kind of my Marshall's notable driver of the race here has to be the 80 car of Tyler Rowland. I mean, what a performance here for him tonight. He's been a guy that all season he's kind of fallen into that like upper midfield role here in race performances. He always seems to have just really solid spots. I don't see him in a lot of incidents. It's certainly not enough that would put him out of the race. Of course, there you see only the one top 5. He played a huge role in the race earlier this season here at Auto Club. He certainly played an active part in that race and how it turned out there at the end. He was running up top all day, but I think if you want to make a comparison to the real life NASCAR series, he's kind of like an Austin Dillon kind of guy. One of those guys that shows tendencies, shows flashes of having those, genuine top of the line qualities. And I mean, tonight he's already moved up 12 spots. None of the other guys in the top 4 started any lower than 4th, so we know he's made more progress than anybody else. Now it's just a question of, can he keep that speed up? Can he keep this car on the older tires on a different strategy, or maybe even the same strategy as the top guys around him? Can he keep that car there up front? Is he able to defend here on the high line? And just how well does he know the track? If he can keep it in here and he can keep that car up in the top 3, we might be seeing a first-time podium sitter tonight, maybe even as well with Davey Hendricks. We'll start on the inside of row number 1, but Nick Nickerson, for the second time tonight, is going to take us to the green.
Yeah, light's still on the pace car right now. May have got extended there. Not exactly sure what happened, or maybe it didn't. I thought the lights were off. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. But anyway, one more lap around here before we head down again. Curtis Yancey heading into the pits one more time, and let's show your guys on Skype. You can see, thank you for the guys that are on Skype right now. Ricky Hart Jr., Mason Flagar, Garrett Hall, Brandon Jackson, Jason Greenwell, and Nick Nickerson. All these guys, you can see what they look like in car, and by in car I don't mean in their virtual car, but in their sim racing cockpit in real life. It's nice to see these guys' actual hands on the wheel, or I was going to say hands on the wheel, eyes on the screen. I guess Ricky Hart Jr. still has his eyes on the screen, just in a little VR headset. But nice to see these guys a little bit more in person, so thanks for these guys having their Skype cameras on as the pace car dives off and we get ready to go green again. Nick Nickerson up there on the outside. Davey Hendricks going to be on the inside, and there's the jump from Nick Nickerson. Hendricks on the inside. Big run from Benjamin Lacey there on the outside. You can see it's a little spread out back behind them. The 8 car of Kevin Foster going to head up to the outside back in 5th position.
Yeah, he was really wiggly there through 1 and 2, was having trouble grabbing traction there, and Cody Welch in behind in the 85 car might take advantage. Somebody has pulled out a line a little ways further back, though. I believe that is the battle there for, well, now effectively the number 6 spot, as Cody Welch not only gets Cale Zook here this lap, but we'll take Kevin Foster as well before we go to cross the line for the start of lap number 62. Somebody is off the pace there a little ways further back. I believe is the 38 car of Peter Murphy, running considerably off the pace. He lost a couple spots there. Now we'll see if Matt Crockett, the 10 car, can continue that backwards momentum, maybe get himself 1 spot and move up into the 12th spot. But another guy, Brandon Jackson, will take a spot as a result of that incident. He's got a completely new race car. He's taken a brake repair, and we know he's had some really tough luck in these last 2 weeks of races. But tonight, maybe that luck turn around. He is back up to 12th. Very considerably good performance here, especially considering what happened earlier for the 99 car of Action Jackson.
Yeah, Action Jackson, one of those guys that's really good at working through adversity, been getting fairly unlucky, and right now Nick Nickerson has just set the quickest lap of the race at 29.48. Previously, the quickest lap was, I believe it was Ricky Hart Jr. with a 29.54. Davey Hendricks' fastest lap at 29.56, but Nick Nickerson just running a 29.48 as the 8th caution is going to come out. Drew Kennedy going to be the driver involved this time.
Yeah, Drew Kennedy really just hasn't had the night I'd imagine he would have wanted. The 19 car has found itself involved in a lot of chaos tonight. We'll just have to see what happened there. See that strong wreck there off the inside line. Just another wrong place, wrong time situation. Just 2 guys getting just too close together. Very slight. Got to keep an eye there on that top car. We have multiple Milwaukee entries tonight. So we'll have to see which car that was. But yeah, again, just the tiniest little bit of contact here. These quarter panels in these NASCAR Xfinity cars can be very sensitive. So, you know, you never want to make too much contact with your neighbor, especially not with the wall serving this kind of a pick system in the middle there to send you around. But that was the 84 car of David Leakey. Unfortunately, just did not have the situation he would have liked there. I noticed that Curtis Yancey, of course, as well, left the session. He had a little bit of internet connection difficulties, but he is back. So it'll say out on the timing tower. I believe he should still be eligible for tonight's event. But Curtis Yancey, a guy who, remember, was formerly taking restarts there on an alternate tire strategy, well, now as a result of the chaos in tonight's event, he is not only out of the top 30, but might not even be in the race. So again, this just shows you in the Bandit Racing League this season just how much things can change in a flash. And it's been a chaotic season. We've had some great racing as a result. We were getting some great racing there between Roland, Welch, Hart there for the 4th spot in that last start. But yeah, we've had some chaos here tonight, and it's certainly easier said than done, not only to get a top spot in these events, but even to stay in them till the very end to be eligible for points in the first place.
Yeah, while we're under caution here, let's see if we can pull somebody down. See if we can talk to the driver of the 80 car, Tyler Rowland. He's done a great job tonight. Tyler Rowland, this is Evan Wall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? This is Evan Wall up in the broadcast. You got a copy? I guess Mr. Rowland doesn't want to talk. Let's see. Who should we grab, Marshall?
Oh, let's think of somebody a little bit different. I mean, I'm going to take that as Tyler Rowland wants to let his on-track abilities do the talking, but maybe if he's available, we can pull Kevin Foster into the booth for tonight. I know, of course, last season's race winner, a driver in the playoffs, so he's got a lot to fight for tonight. We'll see if he's there. He is, so maybe a guy we could pull in.
Let me grab Kevin Foster real quick and pull him down. Kevin Foster, this is Evan Wall up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
You won here last season, and you're sitting in 7th position right now. It's lap 66 of 100. We're getting there toward the end. What's your mindset right now?
Mindset. Click off a few more laps, and hopefully pit the next 15 laps or so, put a set of tires on, and go to the front, brother. That's what it's all about. Hey, we're here to party, and trying to go back-to-back here at Darlington.
That sounds good. You're one of the guys that can do it. You're up there in the top 10. I believe in you. I definitely think you can do it. Now that you're getting double filed back up, though, I'll go ahead and let you go. Just good luck with the rest of your race.
Brother, thank you, and thanks for everyone watching. Thank you.
All right, well, that was Kevin Foster. Not too much time for an interview there as we're getting ready to head back green. Lights are out on the pace car. Don't want to take these guys' time up too much on this last lap, or I would have asked a couple more questions, but Nick Nickerson going to be out front. Davey Hendricks there to his inside. Ricky Hart Jr. going to be in a good spot up there, 2nd row outside line. But there's the jump from Nick Nickerson. You see him gone. Davey Hendricks doing what he can to catch him, but Nickerson going to be pulling away. Ricky Hart Jr. ought to be almost even with Hendricks. Benjamin Lacey, I believe that is, jumping there to the inside now.
Yeah, absolutely. Benjamin Lacey very quietly having a great race. Whoa, got really loose there in corner number 2. There is the crash. Him and right as we go to talk to him there in the interview booth, Tyler Rowland, his luck flips around the 80 car, getting involved. Is somebody going to get the 7 car? Huge wreck. I was just waiting with the kind of race we've had tonight. You got to watch out there for those final couple of drivers. As wide as the track is here at Darlington, only so much space you can fan out, and he got absolutely pile driven by one of those cars in behind. That was the 72 car of Mason Flagar. So 2 guys getting together, and as a result, 2 top guys in tonight's race, Lacey and Rowland, getting taken out.
There you see the replay, and Mason Flagar trying to avoid right into the back of the 7 car. Really unlucky for Benjamin Lacey, running such a great race.
Yeah, really just a really weird incident. I mean, looking at it here, I can't exactly tell what went wrong for Lacey. I mean, they're in the corner before. Benjamin Lacey was side by side there. He was on the inside of the 85 of Cody Welch, trying to make a spot back to get the spot, the 4th place he had previously held. And as he comes through the corner, he's got the inside line. Welch gets the much better run on the outside. And I think in an attempt to try to get low, to try to make sure he could make it under the 80 of Tyler Rowland, he just lost the back end, kind of sent it a little bit too wide, and got into the 80 car. The rest is history. And you see there the 7 car, I think almost got tapped back around if he was able to save it to the right side. Tyler Rowland, he's going to have some damage, but certainly got out of that relatively unscathed given the circumstances. But yeah, horrible luck there for Benjamin Lacey, who, like many times this season, was having a very quietly impressive race.
Yeah, heading back live now, though. There's that 6-car Nick Nickerson, though, still going to be the driver out front. Cale Zook up 19 positions from where he started now. Sitting in 5th place right now. Like I said, a really good run for driver of the 44 car, Cale Zook. Your second driver not in the playoffs, including Davey Hendricks. Davey Hendricks sitting in 2nd position. Zook in 5th. And your second driver not in the playoffs.
Well, one guy I do want to be sure to mention is Mr. Ricky Hart, the driver of the 64 car. Similar to Brandon Jackson, didn't have an easy start to the race. Certainly wasn't without his fair share of issues tonight. Not necessarily by his own fault. It was just he ran relatively middle of the field there in qualifying. I mean, sorry, I should say a 7th, which is really good. But at the beginning of the race there, with how much chaos we had, kind of put you in a somewhat dangerous circumstance. And then, of course, got involved mildly in a wreck there, which sent him all the way back, I think, to 27th. Had to, I assume, take damage repairs and decided not to go for the quick repair, which is probably the best decision here, seeing as where he is in the line right now. But yeah, the 64 car since then has just been on a mission. I know a lot of guys, as a result of the pit strategy, did lose their spots to him automatically. But besides that, even in terms of just on-track passing, I think Ricky Hart's kind of been the most productive guy out here. And a track, Darlington, not known for its easy passing opportunities. I mean, it's almost impossible there in the corners if the guy in front of you gets the outside of the line and isn't on old tires. Down the straightaways, though, plenty of opportunities to go up by on the inside, but that can be easier said than done if you don't get a good run. So to pass here at Darlington means you really know the track, and Ricky Hart in the 64 car has been doing nothing but passing all night.
And one more time while we sit under caution here, under our 9th caution of the night, got to go ahead and mention again Utah Foster Care, nationally recognized nonprofit which finds, trains, and supports Utah families who are willing and able to provide a nurturing home for children in foster care. To learn more about them or to donate, head to utahfostercare.org, utahfostercare.org. And even if you're not in Utah, of course, this is supporting Utah Foster Care, but even if you're not from there, even if you're not from that part of the country, just do everything you can to support your local foster programs. I obviously can't give every single foster program in the country, but I know one of Matt Crockett's main things and the main reason that he chose to sponsor this race with this sponsor is that he believes that every child deserves a home. I think he said that earlier. So just really, really important. Support your local foster care systems. But with that, the lights on the pace car are gonna be out. Nick Nickerson leading us to green up there on that outside line. Davey Hendricks to his inside. Ricky Hart Jr. going to be on second row inside right now. Cody Welch in the 85. Going to be in a good spot up there on the outside. Kevin Foster also up in a good spot. He's a couple rows back, but up there on that outside lane, you can still get a good run. So now, see the pace car diving off, getting ready to go green. There's the jump from Nick Nickerson. Davey Hendricks looking to follow the 85 car of Cody Welch with the big jump as well. Ricky Hart Jr. able to hang in.
Yeah, again, that unfortunate inside line, not optimal whatsoever, but Brandon Jackson in behind is just going to work. He has already flown past Kevin Foster. I think he's got Cale Zook to work through in front, but yeah, great start there for the driver of the number 99 car. He is making his way through. Another one of those guys who had bad luck early and is recovering since, and same with, that is the 89 car of Paul Wilson, and behind him, also going on a bit of a recovery drive of his own, I should say, but Cale Zook, great job there in the 44 car to keep up there in the tide entry. He is finding time where Ricky Hart isn't, and for now, though, the battle up front may be a little bit more currently relevant. Well, the two guys, they are battling just as hard. Now, here is looking at the back of the number 2 car of Nick Nickerson. He has been just dominant here on these starts. He has been going whenever he pleases, and it doesn't really seem to matter, but in behind, a great battle now for second. Cody Welch making some time up there to Davey Hendricks, but a great run there off of turn number 4 for the 54 car. So the top 3 separated by about an equal margin, but Nick Nickerson not quite as far away as he's been on the last couple of restarts.
Yeah, Nickerson definitely not driving away like he has, and there, Nickerson sets the best lap of the race yet again. He beats his previous record, now putting down a 29.44. as the best lap of the race, and the yellow flag going to come out again. Victor Weaver, James Healy, Eddie Hagge involved. They're watching the 23 of Victor Weaver up into the outside wall. I'm going to collect a couple of drivers. Let's watch it off the nose of Healy.
Yeah, that was kind of just one of those unfortunate placement wrecks where I think if you change one aspect of that entire chain reaction, you save about 3 or 4 cars. I mean, you maybe an inch here and 2 inches there, and you adjust a little bit based on the parameters of that crash. And I think only maybe 1 or 2 cars got involved, and that's just how it is here at Darlington. Such small margins here in those top grooves and the corners. If you get around, you really don't have a lot of room to work with. So, again, just a lot of top guys that have just had really rough races here, especially guys that have had multiple incidents tonight. I know Victor Weaver has just left the session, so we got guys that didn't quite have the luck they needed tonight. And of course, you partially make your own luck, but sometimes in races like here at Darlington, you just gotta let the race come to you, and that's not always as easy as it is to do as it is to say.
Right now, a lot of drivers on pit lane. Nick Nickerson in the pit road, as is Davey Hendricks, Cody Welch, Ricky Hart Jr., a lot of big-name drivers. The two that stayed out, going to be Benjamin Lacey and Matt Crockett. Both of these guys pitted on lap 69, and they're staying out there. You see the race off pit road. Nick Nickerson going to win it. Hendricks going to be right behind him in second. So that'll put Hendricks starting in 4th position, Nickerson starting in 3rd, with Benjamin Lacey and Matt Crockett on our front row for this restart with 24 laps to go around Darlington.
I gotta say that is a really bold call there from the 7-car Lacey. I mean, we always talk about here, if you want to win in this series, it's not just possible to sit up there at the front, do what the other guys are doing, because guys like Nick Nickerson, Davey Hendricks, Cody Welch, we just know how quick they are on their own. They're a gargantuan task to try to take down in terms of just pure pace. But what you can do is try to make those big calls, take those aggressive shots for the win. And Benjamin Lacey, a guy who has a win so far this season, he won in his home race at Auto Club. We saw, I think it was possibly Kilzook. Somebody, it wasn't Kilzook, but somebody in one of the tied entries did just pull it a line there. So not sure what happened to that. Maybe an end of the line penalty. I know Curtis Yancey's heading to the back of the field. But yeah, I mean, Benjamin Lacey, he's going to have Matt Crockett kind of as a sort of block there on his outside. Another guy on older tires. But yeah, not sure what happened here to the 51 car. I don't see an end of the line penalty up on the race director's notes. So whatever it may be, maybe a blown engine or something of the like. Now he's back up to speed. So crazy things can happen here when you try to double up a field here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, specifically the Bandit Racing League. But yeah, I think this is going to be really entertaining. Lacey and Crockett, and then of course Nickerson and Hendricks. So you don't really have any buffer whatsoever to the top guys behind you on new tires. If you're Lacey, I don't know what the plan is here. I think you hope for a relatively soon caution. It's going to be weird. I think for that strategy to work, you really needed less guys to pit in behind. You needed a little bit more of a buffer, but unfortunately, a guy who had such a great race to this point tonight, the 80 car of Tyler Rowland, has now left the session. So though it may not have turned out in his favor and how we would have liked, I just want to give a quick shout out to Tyler Rowland, who had a great race tonight so far.
And real quick, while we're under caution, our 10th caution of the night, 23 laps to go. Ought to be an exciting finish, but I just saw posted in the Discord chat, Mitch Sullivan, that I mentioned earlier. He just said that his wife is out of surgery. His wife was in surgery. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but his wife is out of surgery and should be fine. So still, though, prayers and thoughts are to Mitch Sullivan and his wife for what they went through and the trouble that they just had. So hopefully everything goes well with them, but at least she is out of surgery and should be fine. So as we get ready to get back going here, 22 laps to go, 10th caution of the night. Lights are out on the pace car. And Marshall, what do you think? You think that's going to be the last caution of the night?
I get the feeling no. I think especially here at Darlington, you really got to get aggressive here at the end of the race and make passes on the inside. And as we've seen all night, it's easier said than done to try to get these Xfinity cars to stick there on the bottom line, not to wash up to the outside. So I think we'll get a couple more guys involved in collateral damage. But I really hope, at least at the start of this stint, we can really watch the dynamic here in tires between Lacey, Crockett, Hendricks, and Nickerson. Lacey is the control car, gets a great jump But Davey Hendricks was not waiting around, almost 2 car lengths on Matt Crockett before we crossed the line. What a jump there for Hendricks and now Nickerson, right as I just talked about it there, Evan. Guys getting aggressive there on the new tires, trying to make passes on the inside. Didn't work there for Nickerson, but it might work for Ricky Hart. Has had a very quiet last couple of races, going side by side with the regular season champion. But before things can really get interesting, I guess my answer is proven very quickly, because there is caution number 11 on the night.
Some great racing there between Nick Nickerson and Ricky Hart Jr., but unfortunately trouble for Terry Condis and Curtis Yancey. Let's see what happened. Following Curtis Yancey in the 32 car. Following Terry Condis in the 32 car. Curtis Yancey going to be right behind him. And it looked like the 32 car just got ran over to me. Riding on board with the 51 now.
Yeah, I don't know what other way to put that. That was quite the run there in corner number 2. That was corner number 3, I should say. That won't get you any spots if you're either driver. So unfortunate there for the 2 guys up front. This is on board with one of the very similar tire entries who just pulled off the track.
Finsler. He just pulled off the track. I guess there wasn't much to that, but yeah, it looked like the 32 car of Terry Condis just got run over. I don't know if there was something that happened before that we don't know about, or if Yancey just wasn't paying attention. I'm not exactly sure, but 32 car of Condis just run over there and gonna have to use a quick repair if he has it. Condis going to be down in 25th position right now, sitting in the pits. And the 51 car sitting right in front of him, 24th position. Not currently on pit road, but with a good bit of damage to that Jimmy Johnson paint scheme. Benjamin Lacey, though, able to hold it out front, pitted on lap 69. Whereas most of our field pitted on lap 76. Matt Crockett able to hold it in 3rd position as well. Matt pitted on lap 69 with Benjamin Lacey. And all these guys around him pitted on lap 76. So Matt Crockett ought to be in a fairly good spot, sitting there in 3rd, up 19 positions from where he started. So no matter what, sitting in a fairly good spot. And our highest mover of the race so far is going to be Gary Wright, sitting in 15th position, up 20 spots from where he started, but going in the pits right now, so he will be dropping back.
So I'll present to you, Evan, a potential situation. I don't mean to suggest that this is what will happen, but if you're Benjamin Lacey, of course, 7 laps worth of tires, Davey Hendricks has been, all night. He's just been making a name for himself the last 2 weeks since we got to the playoffs here, and he made his first 2 race debuts. He has just been on fire. We know he's quick. We know he's going to be a guy who can compete for that top spot. But only 7 laps, and with how frequently we've had these cautions so far, of course, 11 tonight were this is lap 82. So on average, sitting somewhere in the 7.5 laps per caution mark. And of course, if you include the 4 or 5 laps of caution time, that gives us about a 2.5 to 3.5 lap average before each caution. You got to think, with the end of the race, guys really going for points, that only gets more and more aggressive. If you're Benjamin Lacey, can you bank on the strategy of, okay, if I can just hold off these really quick guys on only slightly newer tires for that period of time, I can start to bank on these cautions. And if he's good on fuel, which he should be for only 31 laps to the finish after lap 69's pit stop, there's a genuine chance he can just caution his way to the finish. And with what we've seen the last 3 weeks in this series, maybe not such a bad bet. What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, honestly, that may not be a bad idea. He's right now, Benjamin Lacey is sitting 2nd place in points, with Cody Welch leading Nick Nickerson in 3rd. So obviously, no matter what, Nick Nickerson ought to have a good night tonight, sitting in 5th. But Benjamin Lacey, if he can just get a good points night out of tonight, he really doesn't need a win, sitting in 2nd right now. And he's up there in the points. Obviously, since the points were reset just a race ago, he's not too high, but sitting in 2nd place, if he can just get a good top 5, top 10 out of this, he'll be in a good spot come next week when the cutoff race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that The big question for him now is if you're going for the perspective of, I just want to get a nice, good top spot, he really won't try to defend there from Hendricks. If Hendricks gets a run on the inside, or he gets a great piece of momentum there on the outside, and he'd have to go up the block, maybe the possibility that he won't. But the most key thing for that strategy I talked about is for Lacey to get a great jump here. He's had a couple recently, but he's going to need those old tires to do some work. Can the 7 car get a good jump? He will. Gets a great run off of Hendricks, and Ricky Hart takes advantage, but immediately a caution right off the start. Doesn't even go green. Kevin Foster is involved. Michael Ramos seemed to be having such a good event to this point in the 27. He is involved as well. Those guys not going to be happy. Perhaps some complications there in the restart. But again, hey, that strategy with Benjamin Lacey starts looking better and better every time.
Following the driver of the 8, Kevin Foster, right now. You see the 89 car, I believe that's Paul Wilson, right in front of him. Had some trouble. I don't know if he maybe spun his tires, possibly had a little bump. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. See if we can see it. Again, we're going to ride on board with the 8 car. Really watch that 89 there right in front of him.
Yeah, no contact really. Just a huge checkup there in front of him from Cody Welch, which kind of threw Peter Murphy off, depending on how new your tires were or how warm they were. That definitely would have made traction hard to grab there, getting back up to speed, and it was just a bad series of timing with both the checkup and the moment he was trying to get back on the gas. You see here Trey Ellis's perspective as well. Very lucky for him to avoid that. Guy's just barely going by, but there was, I think, Cody Welch being involved, or sorry, it wasn't Cody Welch, would have been a different entry there, but yeah, a number of guys there up front narrowly avoiding that wreck, but the 2 that did not, Michael Ramos and Kevin Foster.
Yeah, Cale Zook also with a little bit of damage. Connor Sawyer with damage too. And then real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I can find it. Showing you the behind the scenes. This right here is every time somebody crashes, one of these little red marks is every time somebody crashes. So let's see if we can figure out what that's about. I don't exactly know if that is correct. I think it's just everybody slowing down. It thinks that they're crashing. But here's a little bit behind the scenes. I know I've showed this at least one time, but here you can see this is just how I control things. I think it's just a little bit to look at everything. And on the left side, you can see all of our playoff drivers. So if their number has lime green behind it, then they're one of the playoff drivers. And if it has black behind it, then they're not a playoff driver. You can see Benjamin Lacey and Ricky Hart Jr. are. Then Davey Hendricks, your first. That is not. You see right there Michael Ramos coming into the pit lane. Kevin Foster already in the pits. But Paul Wilson, your second driver, that is a non-playoff driver. And then Connor Sawyer. Both of those guys involved in that last accident, though. But a good job from Matt Crockett to keep it up in 4th position. 18 spots up from where he started. Like we said, pitted on lap 69 the same time as Benjamin Lacey did, but able to keep it up there. And if we look at a couple guys who have pitted since lap 76, which is when most of the guys have pitted, you have to go all the way back down to 15th position. That's where Jason Greenwell is in the 83 car. He pitted on lap 81. And then Cale Zook directly behind them. He pitted on lap 85. But a couple guys in the pits right now. Gary Wright, Michael Ramos, Kevin Foster, of course, and Curtis Yancey also in the pits. Yancey with a lot of damage, that Lowe's Camaro.
I believe we should be going double file this time by. The lights of the pace car should come off. That'll give Benjamin Lacey 13 laps to go to try to hold off Mr. Ricky Hart Jr. here to the finish. And Ricky Hart, guy who's had a really fun race, I'd imagine. He's going to be, if he makes the podium spots, he's going to be a very fun interview because he's really had quite the race to deal with. The lights in the pace car are indeed off. So Benjamin Lacey will opt for the top line here on the that is going to be restart number 13 tonight, or start number 13, restart number 12. And he'll have Ricky Hart to the bottom. Of course, the bottom, not the ideal line. You always want to be up top here. Really, most ovals, but especially a track like Darlington with this high line is so crucial. That'll give Matt Crockett the more ideal top line there on the next restart. The number 10 car, of course, for Utah Foster Care. He has quite a quite a stake in tonight's race, and he's making it work. Currently sitting in the podium spots. What a performance that would be. What a result for the number 10 car. Of course, is a playoff driver, so would have implications in that regard as well. But again, Davey Hendricks, not a playoff driver, but still sitting here in the top 4. Probably had the pace to do so last week, but didn't come away with the podium spot there at New Hampshire. You'd got to think he would want one tonight, but it's going to be Lacey and Hart in the front row, and I'll throw the question right back to you, Evan. 13 to go. What are you expecting here to the finish?
I really don't know. I feel like Benjamin Lacey has the speed to hold everybody off, but I also feel like Ricky Hart Jr., if he gets a good jump right here, he may be able to take the position away from him. Davey Hendricks, that 54, that's a fast car too. The pace car is off, though. We'll see what they can do. A big jump for the 7 car of Benjamin Lacey. A little bit of wheel spin for the 10 of Matt Crockett. Davey Hendricks going to put himself in 3rd. Matt Crockett hanging on to 4th, but not for long. Cody Welch going to be down to his inside. Nick Nickerson looks like he's going to try and follow.
Yeah, he is indeed, but great job for Matt Crockett to at least keep it on track. The car looking horrible for oversteer right now, so the fact that he's even able to keep it competitive with these guys around him. I'm not going to go to try the inside of Cody Welch. That was quite the bold move. Won't work for now, but he is still running up there competitively. Davey Hendricks, though, right on the back end of Ricky Hart as we come down towards the line, and caution number 13. Benjamin Lacey's night is getting better and better.
Gary Wright, Curtis Yancey, Terry Condis, all involved. Again, going to make that the 13th caution, and Benjamin Lacey's strategy is looking pretty good right now. Pitted on lap 69 and just riding out these laps as long as he can stay out front. He's looking good. Following the 6 of Gary Wright right now. You see the 32 of Terry Condis gives him a little bit of bump, in the 51 really getting comfortable with the rear end of Terry Condis.
Yeah, gonna have to take a look at that one more time there, personally, to see what exactly happened. It was almost looked like netcode there from the start, but I think it was just enough contact there. And again, just the tiniest little tap here to such a heavily banked track like Darlington can be brutal in that regard. And yeah, Terry Condis hasn't had an easy night. I'd imagine he's already used the quick repair. So, yep, the night is officially over for the 32 car, who has left the session. And I'd imagine you see here now on board with Curtis Yancey, who takes significant damage off the front of that Lowe's Chevrolet, probably out of the race tonight as well.
Yeah, just definitely some avoidable contact right there. As it looked like the 32 car just drove it in a little bit deeper than he meant to, but then 51 of Curtis Yancey just right into the back of him. A little bit further back, though, maybe Bill Harkins, Cale Zook, and I believe that was, I'm not sure who that was, had some trouble as well as they were slowing down for that caution. This is the 44 of Cale Zook. See the 04 of Brett Guzik, and then I believe that was the 84 of David Leakey up there on the outside. I'm not exactly sure who that was. Collecting Bill Harkins as well. See Mark Allen Bivens up there. He might have got collected. It's going to be the 83 car. The 11 of Bill Harkins, the 04 of Brett Guzik. 76 of Bivens collected, as was the 89 car of Paul Wilson. So that's gonna
Well, I mean, yeah, sorry, I was talking about the strategy there for Benjamin Lacey, and again, everything is just falling into place for him. That's I think the 3rd caution since I brought that up, and really now we've had a change from the race director. We are officially going to go single file restarts to the end of the race. We should go green with either 7 or 6 laps to go. And man, I mean, this opportunity, I think I'll leave it up to you. I mean, maybe you think differently, but I think with not having to worry about that run that the car sitting in second, in this case Ricky Hart, is going to get, that's going to make it tougher to keep it off the outside line. I think all the advantage is going to Benjamin Lacey, but it's going to be down the backstretch there on that first lap of the restart that's going to be crucial. Can he defend in that situation? If he can, he might have his ticket punched to a pretty good finish tonight, if not the top spot.
Yeah, this is definitely going to make it easier on Benjamin Lacey, but at the same time, it's going to put the fast cars of Ricky Hart Jr., Davey Hendricks, they're going to be on that top line with you. Now, of course, there's always cars up there on that top line, but usually the ones on the bottom are Going to kind of help block them, let them not be able to go down low. The more restarts or the more cautions there are, the more it's going to help Benjamin Lacey. But at the same time, the more restarts there are, the more he's going to wear up his tires. They aren't that much older than the tires behind him, though. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch. Again, Benjamin Lacey pitted on lap 69. Ricky Hart Jr. and pretty much everyone behind him, excluding Matt Crockett, pitted on lap 76. So good job of Matt Crockett still to hold it up in 5th position. But there's going to be some guys back behind him charging. Brandon Jackson in 6th, Nick Nickerson in 7th, Trey Ellis behind him. So there's going to be some quick guys charging there. You can see Ricky Hart Jr. warming his tires up there on the Skype screen. So we're getting ready to go back green. 7 car Benjamin Lacey going to lead us there. He jumps 64. Ricky Hart Jr. going to be behind him, and Davey Hendricks going to follow. Everybody fairly spread out. Here's the first move. The first guy that jumps down low is going to be that 99 car of Brandon Jackson, jumping way low to get under the 10 of Matt Crockett.
Yeah, did he ever? Holy cow, look at that move there from Action Jackson. He gets his name for a reason. Hendricks and Hart are getting close there for 2nd and 3rd. But yeah, now he'll get ahead of the number 10 car at the time of Crockett. Now Nickerson's by him as well, so Matt Crockett has lost a couple spots here on the restart, but now 6 to go as we cross the line. Both Hart and Hendricks starting to catch Lacey, but Hendricks right there on the back bumper of Ricky Hart. The longer these guys battle, the more that Welch, Jackson, and Nickerson can, on paper, make up time.
Yeah, but the longer they battle, the longer that Lacey has to try and get away from him. 6 laps to go, and Benjamin Lacey in that 7 car just wants to make up enough time to stay out front. I don't think he's going to be able to do it, though. I believe these 2 cars are going to catch him riding on board now with Davey Hendricks as he tries to battle with the 64 of Ricky Hart Jr. Down to the inside. Yeah, down to the inside, and that 64 pushed him a little bit low, got him under that white line. It's going to let the 64 pull away just a little bit, but the 54 still going to be right on his tail as there's a pass for 8th position. Matt Crockett falling back to 9th now. And the battle right here, the 26 of Garrett Hall and the 4 of Trey Ellis. Hall, the one on the inside, Ellis up there on the outside. These guys battling for 7th position. Both of these guys going to be playoff drivers. And then Matt Crockett right behind them, looking to take advantage. Maybe a little bit of a net code right there. As Trey Ellis going to get into the wall. Garrett Hall going to get 7th position. Matt Crockett going to be able to hold on to 8th for right now.
Whoa, Davey Hendricks a little ways further up in the field, just making contact with the outside wall. There's another Darlington stripe for you. Really late in tonight's race, 3 to go now. The real advantage here for Benjamin Lacey is that Hart is closer to Hendricks, or should I say Hendricks closer to Hart in the draft than Hart is to Lacey. So Hendricks is going to catch Hart first, is going to force the battle for 2nd. And the longer those 2 keep that going, the better Lacey's chances get, the more he can just focus his attention up front. And the 7 cars become to 2 to go this next time by. A little bit of ground made up there by Ricky Hart, just keeps it off the wall. Perfect driving here by Lacey. Almost flawless execution there, that left-hand turn, that tighter 2nd, 3rd section. Benjamin Lacey looking to become only the 3rd driver this season after Cody Welch, who won last week, as well as Nick Nickerson with 4 wins to win multiple. But again, it is not over yet. 2 to go. This battle for 2nd continues, but Cody Welch, last week's winner, the caution comes out. And with the green-white checkers we have in this series, Benjamin Lacey's going to have to go 1 more restart to hold off the win.
It's going to be the 38 car of Peter Murphy in that caution. Right there, you see he's right behind Cale Zook. Gets into the 88 of Benny Hogan. Not exactly sure what happened. Looks like he may have just come up a little bit too much. Let's watch it again. So watching the 38 right there, the 88 of Benny Hogan going to be up on the outside. Looks like the 88 car actually gets into the wall and comes down on the 38 after he just bounced off the wall. And nowhere for him to go as they're both going to end up in the inside wall.
Yeah, unfortunately for Peter Murphy, it looks like he already had damage there to that right side of his bodywork, so might have even had handling damage already, meaning when he tried to avoid Benny Hogan, when he saw him bouncing off, I think it looked like he already had some problems. He already had a little bit of oversteer just as a result of that. So, well, whatever it may be, that makes things considerably more interesting there because, of course, Lacey's still your race leader. Great battle there from Hart and Hendricks. I think Hendricks was just shaping up for his opportunity there, but Cody Welch wasn't giving them any room to work with at all. And Brandon Jackson, got to mention that sick inside pass there on Matt Crockett, the huge send in turn number 1 and 2. If he can pull a move off like that again, Action Jackson could find himself in one of his fairly frequent podiums this season. And again, if he gets up there, man, did he have to work for that tonight.
Yeah, Action Jackson sitting in 5th position right now. The EvanWallMedia.com paint scheme. There you saw Mark Allen Bivens, the 76 car, I believe getting his lap back, I would assume, going around the field up there on the top. A couple drivers on pit lane, Michael Ramos in the 27, as well as Peter Murphy that you saw involved in that accident. But Benjamin Lacey, again, going to be the story of the race. He's going to want to try and do the exact same thing that he did on the last restart, and we'll definitely see if he's able to. Davey Hendricks, Ricky Hart Jr. obviously have fast cars, but have they used up their tires? What? Who do you think we're going to see in victory lane after this, Marshall?
I just, with the restarts we've been seeing tonight, I think there's that period of time in most tracks where it really depends on how quickly the guy in second can, based on the line, based on the opportunities on the straights, how long you can stay in the draft. That really dictates how much of a run you're able to get on the leader in such a short period of time. That's why green, white checkers at tracks like Phoenix are so big, because tire wear plays such a strong part. You can make it up time a bunch of spots very quickly. But we've seen all night, it can be tough to make those passes, especially very quickly off the restart here at Darlington. So Lacey has been almost untouchable there on the restarts. Like, he not necessarily quite as quick or jumpy as guys like Nick Nickerson are, but he doesn't really make mistakes. He doesn't have those restarts where he spins the tires or where he doesn't get as good of a jump. So I think he's going to consistently get about 4 or 5 tenths ahead. And if he can do that, all respect to Ricky Hart, I think he could absolutely get a second win of the season tonight. But I don't know what it's going to take in 2 laps to make up that much time to Lacey without him making a mistake. So I think it's the 7 car for tonight getting his second win of the year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I really like that 7 car getting another win here tonight. It's going to be a green-white checkered. He doesn't have to hold him off long, and I think he can do it. But that Wonder Bread car sure does look fast. I mean, you know what Ricky Bobby says, if you're not first, you're last. So I know Ricky Hart Jr. sure is one to live by that. Right now, he definitely doesn't want to finish in second.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And yeah, I mean, he's just not a guy that does. I mean, Ricky Hart, I think that's why he's so scary come playoff time. He's just great at accumulating points, it would seem. I feel like as quiet of a season as he's had in a lot of regards, he just never really finished outside of the top 10, top 5. He's always a guy who's there in the conversation. I think with our playoff format, that's what's going to serve him such a great advantage. And I mean, he's going to have his work cut out for him tonight. But again, he's a guy that really hasn't taken up the limelight much lately. He's taken the occasional podium, but really his success this year has come from top 5s and top 10s where he can just rack up points. So it just depends. What's his mindset? What's the plan? It would be great if we could ask him. But again, he's probably more focused on this final 2-lap dash to the finish. Just a quick reminder of the rules of a green-white checker for those of you at home that may not be familiar. If we get the white flag, the next flag ends the race. So as long as we can cross the line at that point, we will not have another green-white checker. The next caution ends it, or of course the caution or the checker flag if that does come out. But if we don't get to 1 lap to go, we will have one more green-white checker.
Yes, let's follow off the back of Benjamin Lacey. Saw the pace car just diving off, getting ready for this restart, and there goes Benjamin Lacey taking off. Green flag is back out, green-white checkered. 2 to go here at Darlington. Single file diving down into the turn. Ricky Hart Jr. going to be second place. But look at that gap that the 7 of Benjamin Lacey has. Don't know if they're going to be able to make anything up, but look at the 85 car of Cody Welch gaining nicely on Davey Hendricks right in front of him.
Oh, man, if Hart can keep it off the wall, he's going to be quick here on the front stretch. He's going to get a great run. Keep an eye there on the driver, the number 64 car, but 1 to go here in a chaotic race at Darlington from start to finish. Benjamin Lacey's had to go for the alternate tire strategy. He's made it work. Ricky Hart didn't get the run there in 1 and 2 he needed. Of course, 7-lap newer tires. He should have the opportunity. Davey Hendricks trying to come over for his first podium of the year. Now I think Hart, unless he can have the perfect corners number 3 and 4, he's just going to have to focus on defending. Not a great run. I think Lacey's got it locked up, but we're side by side for third. Welch and Hendricks fighting there. But as we come to the checkered flag, he had to earn it. But with the alternate strategy, Benjamin Lacey takes his second win of the season. Hendricks by inches taking third in his first podium of the season over last week's race winner, Cody Welch. And don't discount the race of Ricky Hart there in second. Great performance from the driver of the 64 car. Take away great championship points, but Benjamin Lacey, man, he didn't make it easy with that alternate strategy. He had to earn it on those older tires, and he did it to perfection. Congratulations to a great race from the number 7 car.
Yeah, Lacey with a great race. And there you see the 99 car, Brandon Jackson, pulling up next to him. Everybody heading on pit lane right now. Let's go ahead and look at the final results of tonight's race. So as we get them pulled up here, Benjamin Lacey, of course, your winner tonight. And we'll watch him do his burnouts there in the background. Ricky Hart Jr. able to finish in second position in the 64 car, followed by Davey Hendricks, just barely by a nose in the 54 car. We'll interview those guys coming up in a few minutes. But back in fourth position, Cody Welch in the 85, followed by Brandon Jackson, driver of the 99. Then Nick Nickerson in the 2, your current points leader. And Garrett Hall, or he's not your current points leader, your regular season points winner. Then in seventh position, Garrett Hall, the 26 car, followed by Matt Crockett. A great job for the 10 car, able to put his second best finish on the season there in eighth position on the Utah Foster Care 100 night. Ninth position, Trey Ellis in the 4 car. And in 10th, Christopher Ferrara in the 13.
Kel Zook will come home 11 tonight in 11th, I should say. Jason Greenwell comes home tonight in 12th. Brett Guzik up 16 spots from the start. Great performance to finish in 13th tonight. Connor Sawyer taking home 14th. Rounding out the top 15 is Paul Wilson. Gary Wright comes home 16th. He had a very busy race tonight, but did make it to the finish, which is, in a race like tonight, is an achievement in and of itself. David Leakey coming home tonight in 17th, with Benny Hogan right after him in 18th. Our very own Bill Harkins finishing in 19th, and Michael Ramos may have finished only 20th, but a great race for him tonight. He certainly had his presence known throughout multiple portions of tonight's event.
Yeah, Ramos, the last guy on the lead lap. Then in 21st, Mark Allen Bivens, the 76 car. His birthday tonight, and the only driver to finish 1 lap down, followed by Curtis Yancey in the 51, 2 laps down. Definitely not going to help his playoff performance tonight. Then behind him, Peter Murphy in the 31 and 23rd position, followed by James R. Hartley, Kevin Foster, the 8 car in 25th. Definitely not the night that he wanted after winning last season. And then in 26th position, Terry Condis, followed by Thomas Finsler, Tyler Rowland, Eddie Hagge, and James Healy in 30th, 32 laps down.
Finally, Victor Weaver in the 23 car, Drew Kenny in the 19, Mason Flagar in the 72, Braden Black making his debut tonight. He'll come home 34th, and Alan Castle will round out your 30s drivers.
Yeah, Alan Castle, 80 laps down. Definitely not the night that he wanted. The lowest finishing driver, but not only the lowest finishing driver, but the lowest finishing playoff driver. So we're going to hide that. And we're going to head to a commercial real quick, and when we get back, we will be interviewing Davey Hendricks, Ricky Hart Jr., and Benjamin Lacey. What's up, guys? If you're watching this, then you already know. Here at Evanwall Media is where I do my broadcasting. 5 laps to go. Brandon Jackson in the lead. Nick Nickerson. And he turns him! The 99 of Jackson gets turned by Nickerson. But I bet you didn't know that I also do in-person photography and videography, as well as graphic design, including, but not limited to, iRacing paint schemes and posters. Check it all out over at evanwallmedia.com. Thank y'all, and you enjoy the race.
experiences with similar series, other stock car leagues or things like that. So jumping into the Bandit Racing League, and specifically the last 2 weeks we've had, have you felt like you're able to transition in well? And is that why we're seeing
Real
such
quick,
great performances for you to start
hang
your
on,
career?
sorry to break in 1 second, but I completely forgot to turn your guys' mics on, so if you could just go ahead and restart that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and throw it down to Marshall Crocker, who is with Davey Hendricks. Go ahead, Marshall.
Hey, Davey, it's Marshall in the booth. I assume you got me?
I do.
Perfect. That's strange. But how's it going? Well, first of all, again, as I said earlier, congratulations, man. Coming away with a third place, especially in only 2 weeks. And again, last week, you could argue, you just as likely could have had that win. And I mean, really tonight, again, I just asked, but I mean, here at Darlington, again, driver's track, super difficult, requires lots of hand movement. It's certainly tricky. I mean, hopping into the series and doing this well at a track like this really shows your ability. So again, what was working for you tonight, and what is it about this Darlington track that makes you so comfortable?
I think I really I have the line pretty much down, or at least somewhat down. I mean, it's all about, for me, conserving tires. As the run goes on, making sure you don't overdrive the car and hit that wall and get that, classic stripe we all get. I was great the whole race until at the very end when I started to, panic because we were getting caution after caution, and I wasn't able to get my runs. But it's just patience, I think. I think a lot of people, especially tonight, got trigger happy on the throttle too soon in the corner, and they wound up, hitting the wall on the way out.
Right, and I mean, moving into this series from, I'm not sure what your background looks like in iRacing, so maybe you'll have to tell us about that first, like what your experience is with the Xfinity car, with stock car racing, maybe with other leagues, and in turn, coming into the Bandit Racing League, what's it been like to adjust? Is there anything specifically in our style of racing, the drivers around you, that's been tough to adjust to, and certainly you've been able to overcome those challenges in your first 2 races so far?
No, I mean, like you said, the last 2 weeks I've been lucky enough to be up front, and the guys I've run with up front have been great. I know last week I hit a bad spell with, a driver tapping the wall and just causing a little bit of chaos, but no, everyone drives real clean up front. I don't know how the back of the field goes. I don't know how bad it can be, but no, the guys that are quick drive really, really well, and I've enjoyed it so far. And in a car as tight as this, it's a skill by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Total credit goes to the guys tonight that were even able to make it to the top 5, top 10 by the end of the night. Because, yeah, as you say, certainly easier said than done on a track like Darlington. And again, it kind of came down to the most important aspect of this race being the restarts. I mean, we saw tonight just kind of constant cautions there towards the end. That was really the name of the game. So those short runs were going to be important. What was it like here at Darlington? I know certain tracks, it's very easy to get that run first lap, make moves on the leaders very quickly off the start. But here at Darlington, it's kind of a one-lane track. It seemed a lot tougher to make the time up to the guy in front of you on the restart. So how vital were those starts for you? Did you think you were doing well in those jumps? And then how much time did it really take you to get up to speed in order to make a move off a restart?
It took me a couple laps to get my rhythm back, get back in the groove of trying to, get my line adjusted. I did not get as good of starts as I would have liked. When I was the lead car or on the front row, I don't think I had pretty good starts. But as soon as I started getting behind guys with a little bit older tires, I struggled on those restarts. And, with those last couple of cautions, I could never get my car beside someone enough to, push them up the track or get my spot back. It was a struggle. I know early me and Nick had really great starts and it was working well. And I was cheering for those short runs because I think I had Nick on a short run. I think Nick had me on a long run. So the cautions helped me when I was leading, not so much when I was not there.
Right, and at the end of the day, you got what you needed. You kind of worked with what came to you. You let the race come to you and to perfection. I mean, you come home with a third with all the crazy conditions we had, and only your second race. So you're a quick learner. You were able to adjust quick, and as a result, you come home with your first podium in the series in only week 2. And as we always do here on the broadcast, for your first time in the series, we always give an opportunity to give some shout outs to the people at home. Maybe mention some sponsors, but it's up to you. Whatever you'd like to talk about here in the booth.
No, I just got to thank Tony for admitting, Bill for putting it on. I think tonight's sponsor is Utah Foster Care. I have to appreciate them for coming on. You guys for everything you do up in the booth. I thoroughly enjoy going back and watching these races every Thursday. You guys do a good job. It's fun. Everyone we raced with tonight, and everyone watching.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Davey. And again, you've just added some such interesting element to this series in the last 2 weeks. And I know you might not be a playoff driver, though. I think if you'd been here all season, you would have certainly had a green stripe on that car of yours. But yeah, you've just added something here in the end of the season. And tonight, I know coming away with a third spot again could have even been more if things had fallen your way a little bit more. But And next week, you get another opportunity. We go to the Roval, and I can't wait to see if you can pull away that first win or maybe even get your first second in the next couple of weeks here. So best of luck here, Davey. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week at the final round of round 1 of the playoffs. And yeah, just have a great rest of your week before we see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Y'all too.
All right, that was Davey Hendricks, and down here I've got Ricky Hart Jr. Ricky, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, your guy, you've got 8 top 5s on the season, and with that, you've got 8 top 10s. So you really either finish in the top 5 or you don't finish anywhere up front at all. So right now, you came out with a second place finish. A great job to stay up there and finish in second place. But were you one of those drivers that was happy to see that short run, or were you hoping to get a couple more long runs in there?
No, I love the long run. I really wanted to get that long run. Did not like the short run at all. At one time, I had to come into the pit. I think, the first time I came in, I had about 30 seconds of damage, and I was just like, forget it. Let me clean it up. Get back out there. I think I restarted like 24th, 25th. Had a quick caution, restarted 20th, and I was able to work my way up to 6th or 5th. In I think maybe a 15 lap run. I think that was our longest green flag run. I feel like if we could have had more of that, that would have shown, and I could have been up there and maybe passed some of those guys. Even towards the end, I think it would have had something for Ben if we got a longer run and I was able to time everything right. And I think I could have got out in front of him and got the win. Slipped out of our hands this time, but it's always next week.
Yeah, you know what they say, running that paint scheme, especially if you're not first, you're last. But
Yup.
you still had a good points day, and you were one of the few drivers that was really that you were there at the back at one point, and you were really able to work your way up to the front, even all the way up to second position. Kind of what was important to you? How did you work your way up to the front? So I don't want to say so easily, but how'd you make it look so easy?
It's all about being patient, knowing where the passing zones are. I know there on that last run, Hendricks was trying to pass me, coming out of 2. I think a couple times he was trying to get under me out of 1. I think the only real passing zone here is if you can't get them on the straight and the other guy's letting you go, it's going into 3, and you're doing like a little slide job getting up in front of them, and you're just kind of hoping that they don't plow into the back of you, put you up into the wall. Usually if they plow into the back of you, put you up into the wall, they're coming up into the wall too. So usually guys think before they do that, and that's usually that was my strategy when I was running up through them. I'd get to their left rear quarter panel, going down the back, and then in the 3 I'd dive it in, and I'd either try to hook the bottom and stay there, and I'd do that for a couple of laps, let them know like, hey, I'm here, and just put that little bit of pressure on them, so it's them making a mistake. So it's not so much the individual driver is making moves. You're trying to get somebody else to make a mistake. You're trying to get somebody else to kind of show their hand and fold going into the corners. And then, like I said, every once in a while doing that little slide job going into 3, that really works.
Yeah, well, you were definitely able to make it work, get up to the front, up to second position. And next week we've got the Roval. Is that somewhere that you're excited for?
Am I ever excited when you guys tell me where we're going next week? The Roval. I'm pretty comfortable at the Roval. I don't think I'm as comfortable as some of the guys out there with the road courses and everything. I mean, Nick's definitely going to be a factor next week. He always is. But I've been doing a little practicing in the off time, getting ready for these road courses. I knew they were coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. If I can't get the win, if Nick doesn't make any mistakes and he's able to get up there, I think I got a solid second, maybe a third. Run some practice this week, and we got some new guys. I don't know what they're gonna do on these road courses next week, and what's gonna happen there. So a couple of unknowns, but I'm looking forward to it. I am. I have a lot of fun at the Roval as long as I hit all my marks and can get through it clean.
Yeah, well, you started and finished in second position when we were at the NASCAR road course, so I'm sure you're hoping for at least a fairly similar run when we head to the Roval, maybe even one position up on the finishing column. But once we get to the end of the interview, it's your turn to shout out whatever you want, talk about whatever you want on the broadcast. So you go ahead, any shout outs, anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, Utah Foster Care sponsoring. They're our main sponsor on the race. All the good they do. Materia Tattoo. My family for letting me do this. You guys for being up there in the booth, doing a great job every week. calling these races. Everybody in Bandit Racing League, everybody's awesome. And I just want to, say prayers with Mitch, one of our fellow racers. Him and his wife are going through some stuff right now, and I really hope that, we get some good news. If not tonight, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, just hope and prayers with him. I hope everything's going good over there.
Yes, sir, definitely. Prayers out for driver of the 18, Mitch Sullivan, that you mentioned, and good luck next week at the Roval. We'll see you then, Ricky.
Thanks, guys. Had a good night. See you.
All right, well, that was Ricky Hart Jr. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw it down to Marshall Crocker, who is with your race winner, Benjamin Lacey.
Hey, Benjamin, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me? Hey, Ben, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Ben, congratulations. The third multiple-time race winner this season, and you do it in style. Just Darlington's not an easy track, so if there's anyone on the season you want to win, this could be it. And man, you did everything you had to. I called it, I think, what was it, probably 20 laps left in the race, and I said once you made that strategy call to not take tires, take them a little bit earlier than everybody else, we knew you were going to have to run with some older rubber, but I had that feeling if we kept getting cautions the way we were, it could work out for you, and it does in the end. I mean, just first of all, what was the inclination to break the trend there from everybody else? Everybody pitting a little bit later in the stint, but you pitted earlier, tried to go long. What was the inspiration behind that? Was there any particular reasoning that you thought was going to work with the cautions, or was it just all up to the situation at hand? Kind of what was your mindset in that regard?
Yeah, so kind of really wasn't my original plan, but it worked out. What ended up happening was I got caught up in a wreck earlier, got spun around and slid all over the track. So I was like, okay, I got to get some new tires on there, and ended up coming in. No one else ended up pitting. I was like, oh, this actually may work out really well. If everyone else comes in and gets tires and stuff, I may end up coming out in the front, and that's exactly what happened. And then at that point, I just was hoping I could stay out front, and got lucky and got fortunate.
It really seems like with a track like Darlington, where the high line plays such a key role, that trying to battle with people can be easier said than done, especially passing underneath. That was kind of the main story of tonight, was that without getting a little bit physical, without making some aggressive moves to the inside, it was tough to pass anywhere other than on the high line than on the straight. So you had spent a lot of time there, kind of in the mid-pack, having some great battles with people. You had to fight back through the field once you got in, as you mentioned, some adversity and some trouble. But as you made your way through and then you find yourself as the race leader, did you have a confidence that it would be tough to pass? And on those last couple of restarts, what was your strategy for holding up first on a very short run to the end?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Getting up front like that, it's a lot easier to defend in Darlington than it is to get around someone. So once I got up front there, I knew it was going to be tough to pass around. Doesn't matter really who you are, it's going to be tough to pass. And then at that point, when cautions and things happen, it was just getting a good restart, catching them off guard, changing up when I'm going to, hit the throttle and never give them a consistent spot. So it seemed to work pretty well. Seemed to get about, 0.3 to half a second on every restart there. And I knew on the long run, I think Ricky would have gotten me, but I knew it was coming down to a short run and was able to execute.
Right, you were executed to perfection, and here you find yourself the second time this season. And the last time we talked to you here, at least the last time I talked to you, was the final interview of the night, was back at Auto Club. You won your home race, you won your sponsored race, and I got to talk to you then. Now we're back here, all these races later. It's been quite a while. And in that time period, you've had some great performances. You've run relatively up front all season. You've been one of the most consistent guys in that regard. But since we talked to you there at Auto Club, it was a race that kind of came down to the finish. You capitalized on late race positioning, but tonight you looked like a force to begin with from the front. You looked like an entirely different beast than back there at Auto Club. Has anything changed from your perspective? Are you getting maybe more time to practice? Are you just more comfortable with the tracks? Or what is changing in your regard? And are we going to see it continue going forward into the rest of the playoffs now that you've got 2 wins on the season?
Obviously playoffs, you're going to drive a little bit more aggressive. To try to get where you want to get, get the wins and get high up there and beat your competition. It's tough. It's tough to win when you guys got like Nick and Brandon and Ricky and all those guys are all pretty fast and got some pace. So you got to kind of strategize and kind of take what you can get. But it's been a good season so far. Nonetheless, I will say that I've enjoyed it, and I think a lot of being able to be more aggressive is trusting the guys around you that they're going to be able to hold their line as well. And that's been real fun to race with guys like Nick and Brandon and so forth. They're aggressive, but they hold their line. They're not going to wash up into you, and I'm going to do my best not to do the same to them. So it's kind of a give and take. When you have people that you can trust around, you can kind of drive a little harder.
Yeah, having that mutual respect, I know can be so crucial, and it's something that I know guys will respect back. And you seem to be one of those guys that gets a lot of respect from the other drivers. I know everybody was coming up there side by side with you at the very end to congratulate you. So it's good to know that you got some guys down there that are looking out for you. And when you run races like that, when you run as clean as you have, and have relatively few, if any, incidents by yourself, it'll get you some respect. And certainly as well, if you win at a track as tough as Darlington, which you did tonight. So Ben, you come away with win number 2 this season. Just congratulations, man, for the entire year you've had so far. You either have those great consistent performances, or you knock it out of the park and you take it up that next level and go to the top there. And you did it again tonight. As you always do, this is going to be the second time you've done it in the final interview of the season, or the final interview of the race, I should say. But yeah, it's your opportunity to talk about some, anything you want to give a shout out to at home, anything you want to mention for sponsors or anything like that. This is just your opportunity to end off the night.
First and foremost, thoughts and prayers out for Mitch. Heard what happened there, so just let him know that he's in my thoughts and prayers, and much love to him. We all missed him out there tonight, so hopefully soon we can get him back out there. And I believe it was a Utah foster care for tonight, so much appreciation to them and what they do. It's huge. Again, Davey Hendricks for helping paint the car with the green, and you guys, Evan and Marshall, you guys do such a great job. So I'll be definitely looking forward to watching this later tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Benjamin. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, it's been so fun to watch you this season. And again, you're such a great guy to talk to. You make it easy on track. You're one of those guys we can rely on to stay clean. So to see you come away with the win for your troubles is awesome. So, I mean, great job tonight, man. Again, winning a tough track like Darlington, that's one to put on the resume. So for the rest of your week, best of luck prepping for Roval tomorrow, or next week, I should say. Going for, I guess, 2 in this round. I know Nick's going to be tough, but hey, you put enough practice in. You keep doing what you did tonight. I like your chances. So have a great rest of your week, Benjamin. We will see you next Wednesday at the Roval. And for now, yeah, just thanks for joining us for the booth tonight.
My pleasure.
Yes, that was Benjamin Lacey, your race winner tonight. And again, one more time, shout out to Utah Foster Care. The Utah Foster Care Throwback Week 100. Utah Foster Care is a nationally recognized nonprofit which finds, trains, and supports Utah families who are willing and able to provide a nurturing home for children in foster care. To learn more about them or donate, head to utahfostercare.org. That's utahfostercare.org. And thank you to Matt Crockett, not only for everything he does behind the scenes here, but also for sponsoring this race and advertising Utah Foster Care. But we're going to look at our schedule here, and that's going to do it for tonight, as 100 laps at Darlington are over, and we'll be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval next Wednesday for 45 laps, and that will be the last race of round 1 before the top 8 drivers in points will be cut off. Right now, unofficially in points, Nick Nickerson is your leader. Cody Welch tied with him in first place, or Nick Nickerson and Cody Welch tied for your lead. Benjamin Lacey in third, Ricciard Jr. in fourth, and Brandon Jackson in fifth. But again, that is unofficial, so we will let you know the official point standings. We'll let you know the official point standings at the beginning of next race. And again, thoughts and prayers to Mitch, and thank you all for joining. We'll see you next Wednesday.